Okay, Foamfoot 420, if you're there, how do you say hello to us before we even go on the air? I just said to Shannon, I hadn't clicked start broadcast yet, and we already saw your comment. Happy Friday, Ticket family. What a week it has been. Good morning. Okay, thank you.
I'm going to use the StreamYard link you sent me so I can see all the comments.
Oh, sure.
And then you just don't have to add me.
Okay. Hector Gomez, good morning. I'm always trying to figure out how to best deal with this mic arm. Jason Paniagua, good morning. Yes, Foamfoot Salty is in San Antonio and in studio. It's amazing. It's a first. Here we come. See, you are on mic. It's so rare to have somebody in studio these days. Steve Duraco, good morning. Glory, glory, hallelujah, and praise Tom Landry. The weekend is here. The football weekend is upon us and has already begun with a shocker last night in Thursday night football. So much to talk about: NFL, college football, NBA, player movement in the NFL. But the biggest headline maybe of the year on this show, in studio for the first time ever, the one, the only, Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. It's so weird. This is surreal to me to be in the same room with you.
Yeah, most radio co-hosts always do it in the same room together. But this is new. I am wanting to watch my computer to see you, but you're right in front of me today.
How was your trip down to San Antonio yesterday?
It was good. It was a lot faster, seeing that I came straight from iHeart Austin, which is in South Austin, and I'm hail from North Austin. So I plugged it into my car, and it was like, oh, only just like an hour. And I was like, what? I'm halfway there already.
Yeah.
So, but I've got the full story for you in the shakedown today, because it was eventful, and I think people will enjoy laughing at my expense, which is fine. That's what I'm here for.
Now, the reason you came down, or the main headline reason,
right,
you are going to the Spurs game tonight, Spurs versus Mavericks, and you have made no qualms about revealing that you've been like a lifelong Mavericks fan.
No, I have no issue with that. I don't have any Mavs. I'm not the fan when I go into enemy territory or opponent territory that I'm making a fuss, making a stink. You know, like the one guy with every basket that drops for his own team acts like it is the winning shot. We're not going to act like that. We're going to be civil. We're going to be nice. I'm hoping to meet a couple people. Maybe we know some listeners will be there. Maybe I'll run into them. But I'm looking forward to it. As I said, I've never been to a Mavs game, and the one Spurs game I've been to, I didn't have a seat, and I am not very tall. So I'll get to see it this time around, not just from the videos.
See, it's hard not to cheer for your team in a hostile arena. I remember, and you met Charlie Parker a few minutes ago,
yes,
who he and I many years ago, the Spurs were in the playoffs, and we took the show on the road throughout the playoffs with the Spurs, and the first round opponent was the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I'll never forget the first game. Charlie and I are in the press box at the arena, the Target Center in Minneapolis, and first Spurs basket. We're like, yeah, Duncan.
That is
they
playoffs,
obviously they tossed us. They walk up, they go, excuse me. Don't know who you Yahoo hayseeds are from Texas, but there's no cheering in the press box. You're going to have to leave because there was no cheering in the press box, and B, no drinking in the press box.
That's
we were out of there.
That's unfair. I think the best sports takes come from those that are living the action and living it truly and authentically with an adult beverage. Now I have to. Was Kevin Garnett still on that?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so I feel like that even more allows you to feel that way, particularly towards that team with a Kevin Garnett, because he was like the ultimate poke the bear kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. I had a similar experience when I was not on my end. I was still very well behaved, but in the Texas box office or up with the media, the LSU game, huge game. LSU's coming to town. The hottest ticket there is, and I sit in the press box for the first half, and some LSU people, I guess I didn't have enough seats for the number of media they let in. So I had my seat, which was in the second row of the media, and these two tall gentlemen and LSU everything decide that the best place for them to stand in the press box is right in front of me, and then they're going to cheer the entire time. So the second half, needless to say, I went back to my normal fan-approved seat. And,
you should have raised hell.
A beer after that.
Because even though I violated and I got thrown out, I get that. You should have said, hey, man.
There were people around me that were more outspoken about, hey, let's calm this down. I'm sure at some point they were either removed or maybe they went and sat in my seat after I left because they were bothering me. But I think the upper brass of UT, the people that typically wrangle those kind of things, with that game being as big as it was, probably a little busy.
Could be. We've got a tremendous show, as always, especially on a Friday. We are football heavy, as we should be, but we'll still talk about NBA, Spurs tonight, Spurs Mavericks. In fact, I'm seeing Jason Garcia on the live video feed reminding us that San Antonio FC, the San Antonio soccer team, is in its playoff run against Rio Grande Valley on Saturday. So big props to San Antonio FC, as Shannon, if you're looking at the live video feed, wearing her Austin FC Yeti t-shirt. Pretty cool. Come down into San Antonio and represent Austin FC. That's cool.
It's very important. It was clean, and it was not nearly as wrinkled as most of my t-shirts. And we just ended our inaugural season. I mean, I got to show them some love, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of t-shirts, so today I did WII's first hour of their news in the 5 o'clock hour. So I'm running late today. So like the way I normally get dressed, what can I grab first? I grab this t-shirt, and I'm running late. I fly outside, and it's that time of year where afternoon temperatures are like in the high 70s. Today's high is going to be 78 in San Antonio. So last time I was outside yesterday, it was sunny and warm.
Yep.
So I go out to my car this morning, no jacket, just the t-shirt. And I'm like, oh God. And it was like 46 degrees. And I couldn't go back in and get it. I was late. It's like, I got to get in the car. I can't be late for WOAI's morning news. So it's like, I just got to deal with it. But it's that weird time of year where it's cold when it's dark and it's warm when the sun comes out.
Yeah, I mean, just in packing, I'm here for 2 nights. So I brought a weekender, but it's the most filled weekender you've ever seen because I have layers just in case. And then different shoes just in case, because the weather's just insane right now. Yeah,
there's going to be like a 30-degree spread from nighttime temperatures to daytime temperatures. So today's show, this morning show, coming up just after 7 o'clock. We love talking football with Coach A, Paul Alexander. We will talk Longhorns. We'll talk UTSA. We'll talk Cowboys. We'll talk NFL. Probably Aaron Rodgers still in the news. Lots of 2 big players moved yesterday to new teams. We'll get into that here in just a few moments, and probably also with Paul. So Paul Alexander at 7:05. Marc Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans. Texans have a bye this weekend, but we'll talk Texans and all things NFL and sports with Marc Vandermeer. He'll join us in the 8 o'clock hour just after 8:30. Just after 8 o'clock, we will make our fearless, courageous, and in my case, often wrong college and pro picks against the spread. We'll pick 3 college games and 3 NFL games. That'll be at 8 o'clock. Shannon's Salty Shakedown live and in person in studio just after 7:30. Sports history, sports birthdays. You can join the show at any time, 800-707-9760, 800-707-9760. And we will be doing the giveaways. In fact, one of them's coming up in about 90 seconds, the Grand in Your Hand cash giveaway. Somebody wins $1,000 every hour, starting at 6:20, going until 9:20 tonight at 20 minutes after the hour, which is way cool. So
I'll take that. I know I can't win, but if someone wins and wants to gift it to me,
there you go.
I accept gifts.
Woo! Absolutely. So I think in the Salty Shakedown, we're going to find out about your San Antonio experience thus far.
Yeah. I mean, we started off so strong, Chris, and giving my driving skills, which are fine. I'm not dangerous. I just, directions are hard.
Yeah.
And then directions also apparently hard for me on foot as well. So it's been an experience. I have enjoyed it. I have nothing bad to say. But I'm sure some people will give me a hard time about where I ended up eating dinner last night, as well as maybe some other things. As for someone who did live here for a very brief period, but did live here, you'd never know it.
Well, and it's so weird, and you're downtown-ish. It's so weird for those of us who live in San Antonio. We only typically go downtown.
I was going to ask.
If there's like family coming in. So it's like, well, we'll show you the Riverwalk.
Yeah.
We'll show you the Alamo.
It's like Times Square in New York.
Yeah.
People who live there avoid that place at all costs.
Yeah. My wife and I once did a staycation. We got a Riverwalk hotel, and we said, look, for the weekend, let's just go. Let's just act like we're tourists.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go downtown. Let's get a hotel in the Riverwalk. Let's eat at all the downtown restaurants. See it was kind of cool. I saw San Antonio from a different perspective. It was kind of cool. So anyway, there's that. Shannon's doing that right now. Right now it is 6:20. We do this on the 20s all day long into the night at 9:20. Your chance to win $1,000. Somebody wins $1,000 every hour. Your chance is right now. Here it is.
Your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword money. 100-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's money to 200-200.
The keyword is money. Good luck. We'll do that again, as we mentioned, on the 20s throughout the morning. All right, Shannon, among the big stories in the National Football League, and we will be football heavy this morning, two big names wind up on new teams yesterday. Odell Beckham Jr. and Cam Newton. For those of our listeners who might not know where those guys wound up, reveal that to us and tell us how you feel about it.
Yeah, Odell Beckham Jr. going to the Rams. I'm starting to think the Rams are ring chaser Rams, or at least the players that they've acquired in the last 12 months. So that's interesting. I don't know how much value Odell Beckham Jr. adds. I mean, Deshaun Watson decided that the Rams weren't a good fit because he wasn't getting the ball enough. And we seem to think that Odell Beckham, part of his issue in Cleveland was that he wasn't getting the ball enough, even though the statistics say that he was getting the ball quite a bit compared to the other wide receivers. So I don't know how that's going to work out. And then for the Carolina Panthers, we were just talking about, our t-shirt selection. I'm wondering if Panthers fans saved or have at the bottom of their drawers, because it's only been, just over a year?
Yeah,
since
less
he's
than
been
2.
there?
Yeah.
Do they still have Cam jerseys, Cam t-shirts that they can now pull out of their drawers and get ready for this Sunday with?
I saw some funny memes yesterday, like had Cam when he was with the Panthers previously going, yeah, here's some Photoshop of Cam Newton.
First photos of Cam Carolina Panthers jersey.
Yeah, the Odell Beckham Jr. thing, and some people have, talked to me about that on social media. I think it could backfire for the Rams because he is a diva. He is a troublemaker. I mean, you have to assume he's going to be on his best behavior with the Rams, but he could be divisive. He might not be a good fit for the Rams. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
And on top of it all, he's in the City of Angels.
Yes.
And we've seen
lots
what he does.
of trouble to get into.
In some previous times of what he's done to get himself into some trouble. I think the opportunity is greater in the area of LA. So I'm worried for that as well, for that team.
I was telling you before we came on the air, going into the season, when Matthew Stafford went to the Rams. I was kind of liking them a little bit. Obviously, I'm a Cowboys guy. If the Rams face the Cowboys in the playoffs, and oh, by the way, if the season ended today, that would be a first-round matchup in the playoffs. LA at the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium. God help us. But now that they're just trying to buy their way to a championship, now that they're signing every player that becomes available on the market, I'm a little annoyed by them now. I'm starting not to like the Rams.
Well, and I almost feel bad for Matthew Stafford. I mean, like you, I enjoy him. I was happy for him to go to the Rams, a team that would at least give him a chance. He's a Texas guy, went to Dallas, Hyde Park, obviously a good friend of Clayton Kershaw of the Dodgers. So them being in the same city, I was like, oh, this is so great. Like they're probably living out their childhood fantasies that they've always had, but now they're doing it together. And now, should they go to the Super Bowl, should they see success, I think it becomes less of Matthew Stafford just needed the right situation and the right coach, and the Rams were it. Now it's going to be, well, look at everybody who had to join him to help him get there.
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
Very good point. I'm seeing on the live video feed Wes Perkins saying OBJ is overrated. Well, we're about to find out if he's going to help them out or not. And Cam Newton, and you said this earlier as well. Off the air. Poor Sam Darnold. It was looking so. They were 3-0. They were coming to Dallas. It looked like he had found new life after being in exile, starting his NFL career with the New York Jets. And and I felt so good for him because at USC, I watched all of his games. I got to know him. He's a nice guy. He comes from a working class family. I think his dad was a plumber or something. He's just a good, hardworking guy. And his fates have just flipped on him once again here with Carolina and the injury.
In my mind, I keep replaying the video that was shot of him after the announcement that he would be going to Carolina. He comes into the house. There's, black and blue balloons everywhere. There's streamers. There's his family. He walks in the front door. Everyone's cheering. He's so happy. Fresh start. And I have to believe it's the exact opposite feeling of whatever that day was like for him right now, because he has not played fantastic. He's injured. He only signed a 1-year deal, so there's no guarantee at this moment, but should he come in and win a couple games and then also on top of that win that fan base back. I don't know what Sam Darnold does next, if he ends up staying as a backup or if someone else is willing to take a chance.
Going to be fascinating to watch that play out in Carolina from a Cam Newton perspective and from a Sam Darnold perspective. Lots more coming up on the show. Coming up next, the high five play of the day. As we mentioned, 7:05, Paul Alexander on all things football, Salty Shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays in the 7 o'clock hour, and a big 8 o'clock hour as we make our college football weekend picks and our NFL weekend picks. We'll also be joined by the voice of the Houston Texans, Marc Vandermeer. Shannon, Salty, Sweeney in San Antonio, in studio, getting ready for the Spurs and the Mavericks tonight. The boss man, Brian Gann, making the show go this morning. We appreciate that as well. Dial us up, if you please, 800-707-9760. With you till 9, it's the Chris Duel Show. Woo! Manuel Gonzalez, good morning. Wes Perkins, Sam Tobias, Michelle Johnson from Marysville, Kansas. I've got my camera on my laptop. I'm still trying to figure out where I want to put it.
Can they hear me?
They can probably
Maybe.
through the mic. I would think they hear you now.
Jason, I have not had a breakfast taco yesterday or today.
Oh my God. Yeah, we need recommendations on breakfast tacos this morning. Where should we get Shannon a breakfast taco?
Also, Jason, it's the Treaty Oak Tree for Austin FC, which there's a song about the Treaty Oak Tree. Just kind of an Austin thing. Big on the trees. Anthony, I think it's all the lighting. I usually it's very bright. I'm awake though.
I can turn the lights off in here to make you feel more at home.
I am awake. Who is watching my dog? My folks. She enjoys running around with our family dogs. So Shipley is in good hands. She's always just, like, depressed when I take her home after she's been at their house because it's just her.
Tinka Taco is Roger Salazar's personal favorite.
Did you go to the mini haunted place downtown? I did walk past the Emily, which is a hotel I've stayed in before, which I know has some history. And then, of course, everything across the Alamo is like wax related or world record haunted maze. That's such a turn off. Louisa, it's great. It's very iHeart. There's even less red than in Austin. Austin is just straight red that it hurts my eyes. But they have a lot of pictures from events, and I've found a couple Justin ones that I want for my own house. Roger, I tried beer tacos for the first time a couple months ago in Austin because they're a thing right now, at least in the Austin area, like a trendy thing. It's the new avocado toast, if you will. I don't know if it's because I got it to go. I don't know if it's because the place I think is more of like their Mexican food is not their original, kind of like a extra offering they have. Wasn't a fan. They were a little soggy. For whatever reason, my computer clock is like 3.5 minutes behind.
Oh, really?
What
okay.
actual time it is. So if I'm going along, just now that we're in the same room. Just
I'm using this one. Maybe I can find a way to
wave your hands around.
Maybe I can find a way to make this
one
one visible.
It would be off like that, but it is.
Can you see that one?
Yes.
That's what I'm using. So if you can see that, I can see it too.
All these TVs and there's no.
There's no live feed.
Like no apps with.
Yeah, none that the
like breaking
engineering department, which is down the hall, way down the hall, and closed at this hour. They control these feeds. So that drives me a little crazy. We're in the information business, and I can't have a TV on in the morning with the latest sports news. Which in the other building, the old building, we had TVs in the corner that were broken. So it was like, hey, there's a TV. Oh, it doesn't work. There's like another one.
Like a boob tube TV that was there when I got there, and it finally conked out. So we got like a monitor, but the Zone is the only place that has a cable box.
Yeah.
So at the very least, and that studio is right across from where I am. So that's, if you ever see me doing this, I am looking at the TV. And I'm afraid I don't think that's traveling with us.
Mm-hmm. For a while, that TV used to be on, but it was always on Fox News. It was always on.
Which is better than nothing.
True, yeah. Because
there have been mornings. I mean, I remember Vegas was huge.
Right, yeah. And it was on one morning when there was a space, one of the millionaire space launches that we talked about.
Well, these TVs are so big, it's just like you could put 4 different.
True, yeah. Let's see. Freddie Garcia, Anthony Del Toro, Sam Tobias, Christopher Sanchez, good morning. Ralph Balderas, Michelle Johnson, Wes Perkins, Tracy Bogert, Beth Settle, good morning, Beth. Roger Salazar, do you guys think we'll see another weird week in the NFL with top teams losing? Based on last night, who had the Miami Dolphins beating the Baltimore Ravens 22-10. That's crazy. Roger Garcia says high school football playoffs round 1 getting underway tonight. So that's always fun. That's always a new level of high school football. So you add that to college football, on the quarter turn, wrapping up the regular season, 3 games left for the Longhorns and the UTSA Roadrunners. That's cool. Ralph Baldera saying Texas's Justin Tucker scored most of the Ravens' points. 4 of them.
Yeah, except
4 of the 10.
He missed a field goal, and he's always good for
Yeah.
anywhere from 7 to 9, usually even more on fantasy, and he's on both my teams. And 4 points last night. I'm struggling enough. He's the one person I can rely on, and I know he's human. And that it was a very rare miss. But still.
Roger saying you can watch high school football games on the KSAT app. I didn't know about that, Roger. Now, that's a good Manuel Gonzalez says Chris Madrid's for lunch. Chris Madrid's has really good burgers. They're huge burgers.
Oh, I was craving a burger last night.
They're good. They're really good.
And we'll get into it. I did eat a burger, but it was not what I had envisioned.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Burgers are, if genre food, Mexican food, but like one food item, it's cheeseburgers.
Yeah. Thanks.
Cause I got a really big team, and they need some really big rings. They need some really nice things. Better be coming with no strings. Better be coming with no strings. We need some really nice things. We need some really big rings. I got a really big team. I got a really big team. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Join in by dialing 1-800-707-9760.
That's right. If you dial us up, we'll grab your phone call. If you want to talk about the sports that we're talking about, we're heavy football today because we should be. It's a football Friday. People talking to us on the live video feed during the break. And yeah, in addition to great college games this weekend and great NFL games, and the NFL weekend got underway last night with the Dolphins upset of the Baltimore Ravens. High school football playoffs are underway across the great state of Texas. So that just adds to the intensity there. Coming up just after the top of the hour, Coach A, Paul Alexander, one of our football gurus. We love talking all things football on all levels with Paul. and we will. Shannon's Salty Shakedown coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. Sports history, sports birthdays. We will make our college and NFL weekend football picks just after 8 o'clock this morning. Marc Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans, going to join us just after 8:30 to talk Texans and all things NFL. And again, at 20 after each hour, we did it at 6:20. We'll do it at 7:20 and 8:20. The Grand in Your Hand cash contest, chance to win $1,000. So before we do the high five play of the day, Shannon, you're in San Antonio, obviously. Mavericks Spurs game tonight at the AT&T Center. Any other must-sees, any other big items on your agenda here in your 48-hour stay in San Antonio?
Good food is pretty much my only requirement unless somebody sparks some interest of something else that I just haven't seen. I kind of want to go to the zoo because I know they have the new walkway for I think it's like jaguars or like big cats exhibit, and I think that was actually our first high five we ever did because it was just been announced. It's such an awesome thing. I think it's the first one ever. And I just think that would be so awesome because I've been in those aquariums where it's kind of like a tunnel of water and the fishies go over you and the sharks, and that's so cool. But to have a big cat like that, I want that. I want that for me.
The San Antonio Zoo, the last several years, they've really been upgrading what they do.
They've got to compete. And I think they're doing a great job.
In a tourist town with a lot of tourist attractions. Yeah, they've tried to really, lift their game, and they've pretty much done that. All right. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for the high five play of the day. We love giving out high fives because we should, and the high five play of the day is appropriately sponsored by High Five, 2 locations in the Austin area. Everything you need is at a High Five. You got big screen TVs everywhere. You got great drinks. You got great food. You got games you can play from bowling to laser tag, axe throwing, and more. Shannon, who were you giving out the high five to this morning?
The high five today, we're heading over to Louisiana, and we're giving it to one Julia Hurricane Hawkins. She just set a world record, sir, for the oldest person to run a 100-meter race. She broke the record in a time of 1 minute and 3 seconds. She's 105 years old.
God.
Sir. Because at first when I read the time, I was like, that maybe seems a little slow compared, I would watch the combine. Those guys are running really fast. And obviously she's not going to be at that level. But it did take a minute. The video is online, and it is, I'm not going to say I cried, but I cried because it's just happy tears to see all the excitement from start to finish. Her and her family. This was part of the Louisiana Senior Olympic Games, which were held last weekend. As I said, she's now the oldest American and the first woman over 100 over to run the race. And sir, she used this as a time, use your platform for good. And I loved her quote following the run. She said, "The older you get, the more passions you ought to have. Keeping active is one of the most important passions. Keep thinking, why am I left here? Why haven't I been called by now? People say that they want to be just like me when they grow up. And I think if I can please people and give them hope, then it's worth living longer." She apparently runs a mile or two.
My goodness.
Regularly to keep in shape. Listen, I've said it. I'll continue to say it. I live my life by this. I've run to 2 places, the fridge and the bathroom. That's it. So for her to do this and she was asked if she's going to do it again. She says, "I have to see how I feel in the morning." But just wonderful. Congrats. You're in the record books. You're a history maker. And I'm sure if she keeps running, she'll continue to break records.
I am always amazed at older people, and obviously 105 is crazy old, who do athletic things and run. I remember when I was in my 20s living in Los Angeles, I used to run marathons quite a bit. Never win them. I would just run them just to prove that I could finish them, and try to run them in under 3.5 hours. But at the time, for a 20-something guy, I was in decent shape, and they were fun, and you'd finish them, then you'd go drink beer and do whatever you would do with your other crazy 20-something friends. Then a few years ago, and I hadn't run one in years, I had back issues. I had major back surgery when I was about 37. So about 5 years ago, I said, what the heck? I'm going to train, and I'm going to run the San Antonio Rock and Roll Marathon. And I was in my 50s. And it is amazing how from your 20s to your 50s, your body is, that's why Tom Brady amazes me in his mid 40s. Your body is not the same. I mean, I used to run marathons in like 3.5 hours. I think my best time was like 3:17, which is no big deal. But for, it's decent for somebody who's not a big athlete. It took me like 5 hours and 45 minutes. I was cramping, and I trained for it.
Though.
I trained for like 12 weeks with a local training program, but to have done it in my 20s and to do it again, you think your body can still do it. It's like, oh, I've done this before.
Right.
So muscle memory, I'm going to be able to do this again. And even in that marathon 5 years ago, I would see like 78, 85-year-old people running past me. It's like, I'm going, God, this sucks. I'm not 25 anymore. But I would see elderly people run by me, and I am just amazed that you can do that at that age. And I have such respect for it. And I do think that doing things like that, anything athletic or anything really that you have a passion for, and in that case, that is physical, if you can do it. I agree with what you just read her quote. It helps keep you young. It gives you a purpose and a passion in life.
Yeah, it's awesome. And you bring up that, as I've never run a marathon. And when I was in high school and playing sports regularly, I could sprint. I was fast, but short distance. I never liked long. Running the mile was the worst day. The pacer test, please no. I will do. What injury do I have to fake? What doctor's note do I need to forge to get me out of this? And since we're on the topic of races, because this has taken the internet by storm recently, this duck that was in the New York Marathon. Could you imagine? I mean, I would be trying my hardest just to finish.
Yes.
Maybe even like after the race has come to an end, I'm just like, I'm going to finish. But to be behind the duck. Are you kidding me?
God.
I'd be like, I'm just gonna stop here. Where's the closest bar? I have retired from this activity. That's embarrassing for me. A duck.
Yeah.
And he has got it. Wrinkle the Duck was his name.
So did Wrinkle go the full 26.2?
I don't know about that. He may have cheated a couple corners there. Apparently he also had on custom webbed sneakers. So he's got a sponsorship deal. I mean, he's that good of a runner. But I can't imagine for those people that like caught up to this duck and they were like, excuse me.
Well, the other thing, having run marathons, and the New York City Marathon is a big, iconic marathon with thousands and thousands and thousands of runners. I'm surprised somebody didn't step on the duck.
Right?
I mean,
I'm not
it gets
watching
very,
what
very,
I'm stepping on.
It's very crowded. Exactly. And second half of the marathon, and after 20 miles, when you hit the wall, I've even hallucinated. I've even just been out of my mind late in a marathon. You're not looking where you're stepping. You're not expecting to have a duck at your feet. So I'm assuming that the duck had handlers and wranglers to make sure people didn't step on it.
It doesn't seem. Apparently, he's an emotional support duck. So I
didn't
guess
even know that was a thing.
Maybe he's been training for this too. It's just got to be one of the weirder things to come out of 2021 in the sports world, anyway. A duck in a marathon running for real. Again, I'm almost depressed talking about it because I could never.
Well, see, if you're depressed, maybe you need an emotional support
I need
duck.
A duck to get me out on the streets running around.
All right. Somebody else who needed some help last night. And I equate last week there were two crazy upsets in the NFL.
Yes.
It was Broncos annihilating the Cowboys. Broncos led the Cowboys, as we know, 30-0 in the fourth quarter before the Cowboys got two garbage time touchdowns and 2-point conversions, make it 30-16. Sounded a little better. And then your Buffalo Bills shockingly go into Jacksonville.
Both of my teams.
And lose 9-6 to a crummy Jacksonville Jaguars team. Last night, Thursday Night Football, the upset thing continuing to happen in the NFL. Ravens came in at 6-2. Dolphins were 2-7. Everybody assumed the Ravens were going to win that game. Jacoby Brissett starting in place of Tua Tagovailoa, who they have given up on in Miami. Jacoby Brissett gets banged up. They insert Tua into the game. At halftime, it was 6-3 Miami. Miami winds up winning, and Tua led a late 75-yard drive that culminated with a 1-yard Tua sneak for the touchdown. Dolphins beat the Ravens last night 22-10. How crazy is this season in the NFL?
It makes me feel better about my picks. I mean, as usual, if I get something right, I think, oh my gosh, I'm the greatest there is. Why am I not putting real money down on this? And then when I lose, I have that kind of thing to lean back on, that it has been so crazy. I was watching the pregame show on Fox, and everyone picked Baltimore. Everyone.
Yeah.
And I forget the gentleman's name who's kind of like the host of that show, but he said, you know what happens, America, when everyone picks the same team? That team doesn't win. And he ended up being right. But the last pick was Michael Vick. And he said the last time the Dolphins and Ravens met, Lamar Jackson had 5 touchdowns. And he said he probably won't go for that many, but I can assume that we're going to have a very similar performance, and that given the track record, and it is the Dolphins. But no, that's not what we got. Low scoring on the side of the Ravens. I went to bed a little early last night, so when I went to bed, it was 3-0. But even at that point, I did not feel great about it. I felt like it should have been you're halfway through the second quarter. They should have scored so much more at that point, and for the Dolphins to have held them down, a great win for them. I don't want to take anything away from them, but a shocker to say the least.
And Baltimore could have, with the win, stretched, created some more space between them and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh coming into the weekend 5-3, Cleveland 5-4, Cincinnati Bengals, who started out on fire. Bengals have lost 2 in a row now. They're 5-4. So now all of a sudden, we've got, as I look at it, we've got like a game and a half separating everybody in the AFC North: Ravens, Steelers, Browns, and Bengals. So, and it makes me feel a little better about the Cowboys loss. That Cowboys loss to the Broncos, we didn't see it coming. We didn't see them down 30-0 in the fourth quarter. So now I'm, and we knew this, on any given Sunday or Thursday night in the NFL, one team can rise up because they're professionals and beat another. But 2 weeks in a row now, these are 3 big upsets that have happened in the NFL.
Mid-season slump? Are we chalking it up to that? Mid-season,
that's a good theory.
Just
you've been locked in a grind for so many weeks. Yeah.
Need a reset. And then on the Dolphins side, I want to ask you this because Jacoby Brissett, kind of the star of last night for that Dolphins team. Going forward, they're 3-7, I think, at this point in the season. So playoffs out of the question. Obviously, they were involved in a potential, didn't end up happening, trade for Deshaun Watson to be the new guy. What do you think that plan is for the rest of the season as far as quarterback? Because it does feel like they've given up on Tua, yet he's still there. And, they keep it's finger injury, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's holding him out. I mean, do they stick with Jacoby? Do they stick with a guy that maybe will be around as a backup next year? Because I don't think either of them start for this team in 2022.
It's a great question. And I think they have to determine who do we want to keep around. I mean, you can't, based on what we've seen, I think go forward with either Jacoby Brissett or Tua Tagovailoa as your quarterback of the future in Miami.
Right.
So I think, and maybe you do a little bit of what we saw last night. Maybe you, in these final games, start one week, start one the next week, and kind of see what you've got. And I mean, they invested so much in Tua, and so many people believed. I mean, before we said tank for Trevor Lawrence a year ago, and I had the T-shirt. The phrase was, and that's where tank for Trevor came from, kind of tank for Tua. I mean, so many people believed that Tua was going to be a big-time NFL quarterback, and he's been nothing but a disappointment. And again, until last night, he led them to victory last night. In fact, they were even thinking about Jacoby Brissett could have come back into the game last night after he was banged up, but Tua was playing so well. They said, we got a good thing going with this guy. Let's not mess with it. And Tua led them to a 22-10 victory.
Yeah, I think they were hoping to get out of Tua what Arizona has gotten out of Kyler Murray, what Seattle has gotten out of Russell Wilson, right? That was always their knock. Well, they're just short. Well, you can overcome shortness. Look at Russell. Look at Drew Brees. And Baker Mayfield does all right from time to time. But that's not what they're getting here at all. And I think that road is coming to a very quick end.
Going to be another interesting weekend in the National Football League as we roll forward. We're going to talk more NFL football. Coach A, Paul Alexander, going to join us. And I know one of the things you want to ask Paul about, and he's a hardcore Longhorn fan, even though his number one team, because his dad went there. So he grew up as a kid, Rice University. The Owls are in his blood, but Paul's also a hardcore Longhorn fan. Coach Bo, defensive line coach, going off on that team and recorded by a player, something we want to get into with Paul Alexander this morning.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that he is a fan of Coach Bo Davis, as so many people now are. But I'll be interested to see what he has to say about those that aren't a fan or took offense or feel like, oh, I don't want to send my child to that university, because there are those people out there.
And if you think coaches at the especially Division I college level aren't going to jump into the you-know-what of a player like that, then those parents are naive.
They just lost. Shouldn't he be giving them hugs?
Yes. There you go. All right. Coming up, Coach A, Paul Alexander. We will dive into all things football, NFL, college, and high school. I think Paul's calling a high school playoff game tonight as well. So we'll talk all things football with Paul. Your chance to win another $1,000 at 720. Big show. Football picks, salty shakedown, and more. Shannon in studio. Brian Gann making the show go. It's the Chris Duel Show. All right. I need coffee. Woo! And again, at any time, if you want to go offline during the breaks, either let me know, or if I step out, it's on this laptop. You can just do it. Back in a sec.
Haven't made my picks yet for today. If anyone's got any hot takes, college or NFL.
AC Gonzalez, good morning. Joe Leal, welcome in. Lucinda Sullivan with the coffee emoji. I now have coffee. Dave Emilio Castanuela, good morning. Let's see. Sam Tobias saying UTSA versus Southern Miss Saturday at the Alamo Dome. We need to hashtag pack the dome and show that San Antonio has their backs. Yeah, Sam, going to be very interesting to see how many people show up at the Alamo Dome this weekend. And again, Southern Miss 1-8, not exciting, but UTSA 9-0 going 10-0 is exciting.
Is it the last home game?
There's one more. I think UAB. That's a good question. I think there's one more after that, which is because that's what Andy said, because they're trying to get college football game day to come down, and the last chance they would have would be UAB.
But I am staying tonight, which is great because I didn't want to have to be looking at my watch for the whole game, thinking about how late it is driving back. Is college game day? I would assume they're going to Ole Miss.
Yeah,
again.
I mean, as novel as but like for next week, as novel as much as I'd love it, and as novel as UTSA being 10-0 might be, I still, for the rest of the country, UTSA versus UAB. Although more, Rich Eisen, more and more, the more they win, the more they become kind of a fun.
Yeah, they're
story.
Where would they put them, you think? Riverwalk?
That's a great question.
At the stage area?
Yeah. I think during Spurs games, I've seen when Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless were together, they did their show out at a restaurant overlooking the Riverwalk during the NBA Finals back when the Spurs were. So that would probably be it, although the game's at the Alamo Dome, and that's where the fans are going to be. So theoretically, maybe they do it in front of the Alamo Dome. Not a pretty venue compared to the Riverwalk.
Or maybe on campus somewhere.
Yeah, campus is so far, though. Maybe in front of the Alamo at Alamo Plaza, if you want to really, because everybody.
With all that construction, though.
Yeah. Gotta go look at Paul's Facebook page. I think he said that he's doing a high school game. And let me see if I think I have a Paul Alexander graphic from last week. Do I? There he is. Okay, that'll work.
Luis is it's where the camera's positioned. Is more in line with my face. I do have a longer torso. I have short legs. I had to push the chair down a little bit so I could reach the little footstool.
Looks like Paul's on the line. We'll have Paul. It's a beautiful thing.
But I also like good camera angles. The camera should be above you because you're getting a lot of this action today.
Thank you. Paul is here. Good morning, everybody. I see 22 in here right now, but we don't see all of your names. If we see your name, we say hello most of the time. All things football with Paul coming. The glorious football weekend is upon us, ushered in last night by Thursday Night Football, an upset as the Miami Dolphins, led by backup quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, comes off the bench, replacing the injured Jacoby Brissett to lead the Dolphins to a 22-10 victory over the Baltimore Ravens. Yet another upset in the National Football League to follow last week's Broncos over Cowboys and Jaguars over Bills. We're talking all things football, and nobody better to do that with than Coach A, Paul Alexander. But first, it is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. For the first time ever in this studio, Paul Alexander has been in this studio, yes. Shannon, and you, until this morning, you had yet to be in the studio. Right. Good to have you here.
He beat me to it. I'm excited to be here. I almost, now that we're talking to him, I feel bad that we did not invite him in to join the party as well.
That would have been a great idea. I wish I would have thought of that. Let's welcome him in on the phone lines anyway. He has done it all in sports, in news, in television, in radio, as an anchor, as an executive, you name it, he's done it, the one and only. Oh, and now a great website. Can't pimp this enough. His website, radicallyrational.com. Coach A, Paul Alexander, how are you this morning?
A little bit jealous. I mean, how did you guys arrange this face-to-face summit? Possible. And of course, unfortunately, I got a chance to spend a lot of time with you, Chris, and never enough. But, I was really looking forward to meeting Shannon face-to-face. And now I find out that I'm going to be the last one to do it.
Paul, it was a situation. I had my people call their people, and they intermingled. And lo and behold, here I am. I don't know. Maybe, Chris and I are considering a potential dining. I don't know if we're going breakfast or lunch, but maybe we can get you involved.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, Paul Alexander. We're thinking maybe breakfast tacos or something after the show. We might have to work something out.
I did. One of the great things, it's all really great things about getting up at 2:00 in the morning and all that kind of thing is the meal is kind of whatever you say it is. You can name it anything. You can have anything you want to eat at any time of the day, and you're not restricted like other people are.
Well, yeah, and the weird thing about these hours, Paul, and you know them well, I have breakfast number 1 when I wake up, and then after the show is breakfast number 2, and maybe that's why I'm probably 25 pounds overweight. I have 4 square meals instead of 3 because of my hours. But, Paul, let's dive into football. I did see this, and what's so cool about this weekend, not only NFL and college really heating up, but high school football playoffs are underway, and I did see on your Facebook page you are calling a high school football playoff showdown. What do you got going on?
This is fun. I'm probably going to have to take an afternoon nap before I do this, and my dog Frankie's now excited about it too, so forgive that. But I got a chance tonight to do a really amazing first-round game in Class 5A between Burning Champion and Mercedes. And it's a little bit unusual to find a first-round matchup with 2 big dogs like that. Burning Champion's really good. They're 8-2 on the year. Mercedes down the valley, they're 9-1. They score points like a pinball machine. These 2 starting quarterbacks have combined for about 45 touchdown passes this year. This is going to be good because this is, as they say, good on good.
Well, Paul, from one high-powered offense to another, or at least an offense that seemed to be rolling up until last weekend, the Dallas Cowboys, just a complete dud against the Denver Broncos on all sides of the ball. Your assessment of that game, and if you think the Cowboys will turn it around this weekend when they take on the Falcons?
Well, first of all, let me own it. It was 1 week ago on this show, and thank you for the invitation, that I said that the Denver Broncos had absolutely no chance. And then I look up and it's 30-0. Now, I'm going to write this off to just one of those things and one of those days. And we see that in the NFL. And for right now, I'm pretty comfortable with that. That said, I'm very nervous about this game against Atlanta. First of all, you don't know if there are some lingering effects. Secondly, despite the fact that they're just so up and down and erratic, the Atlanta Falcons roster is actually one of the better overall rosters in the National Football League. We all know that Matt Ryan can get really hot. Now they're dealing with the Randy Gregory thing. I really want them to get over this speed bump this weekend. If they win this game and look like themselves again, I'll calm down. But right now, I admit that, oh my goodness, the football gods wouldn't do this to us again, would they? Just when we finally have some confidence, when we finally think this is real and not fool's gold, and we're saying they look different because they do, oh man, they wouldn't let this happen again, would they? So if they got a W by the time, we have whatever meal we're having Sunday night, I'll feel a lot better about things.
Absolutely. And as Paul mentions, Randy Gregory, we find out yesterday, who had just returned to the Cowboys and was making such an impact defensively, going to be out probably for a few weeks with a calf issue. And Paul, I got to ask you, Atlanta Falcons, of course, their coach was Dan Quinn up until last year, who is now the Cowboys defensive coordinator. And famously, Dan Quinn took them to that Super Bowl against Tom Brady and the Patriots, where in the second quarter, the Falcons led 28-3, and that did not last. How much of an impact do you think Dan Quinn can have for the Cowboys, knowing Matt Ryan, knowing some of the tendencies of those players offensively and defensively for the Atlanta Falcons?
It helps. It's real. It's not everything, but it is significant because Dan Quinn, has seen all of those meltdowns, and he's analyzed all of those meltdowns. And he's watched this guy in practice every single day. And I know that he has enormous respect for Matt Ryan. We all should. He's a really good NFL quarterback, but that kind of knowledge on a down-to-down basis, on a situational football basis, that does have significance. Advantage Cowboys, at least there.
Paul, we are 10 days removed from the NFL trade deadline, so you'd think it'd be quieter in the back half of this season, but instead yesterday we get two bombs. We learned that Odell Beckham Jr. is heading to the Rams. I'm now referring to them as the ring chaser Rams because that just seems to be where everyone's heading to these days, with a big name and big time contracts. And then you've got Cam Newton now returning to the Carolina Panthers. Of these two things that took place yesterday, do you think one of these guys is going to serve their team better than the other?
Well, they're equally fascinating. They really are. And I had a lot of fun reading about this yesterday. First of all, with respect to Cam, you're probably expecting that I'm going to roll my eyes and say this is ridiculous. I'm really not. I think it makes some sense on a temporary basis because after getting off to the 3-0 start, the Panthers have kind of melted down. Darnold's got the injury. Darnold's a head case. Rule wants to win some games right now. This is a temporary thing. And I would liken it to this. This is kind of blunt, so forgive me. But this is like a 1 month fling with your ex. Delusions here. Okay, we know where this is heading, but there's a certain amount of comfort because both parties know where the bathroom is and they know whose feet are ugly. I actually think
that is brilliant. That is just Paul Alexander with more spectacular analogies. Paul, I got to ask you, Odell Beckham Jr. to the Rams. On the surface, yeah, he's a weapon and they're looking for weapons. But I wonder, Paul, and you've analyzed locker rooms, you've been in locker rooms over the years. Is there a risk here by the Rams in bringing in a guy who may be detrimental to your culture?
There is a risk, absolutely. But quoting Bruce, no risk it, no biscuit. I give Rams credit for this. I mean, as Shannon just said, I mean, they are all in. I mean, you look at the Von Miller thing, you look at what they've done here, and yes, it could blow up in their face. On the other hand, it could be the final piece of the puzzle that separates them from those other great teams in the NFC. It helps that Matthew Stafford is a mature guy and he can handle this. But you know what? The most important guy in that locker room, if Cooper Kupp accepts this and promotes it, he'll sell it to the team and it'll be fine. I don't know.
Paul, it's been a crazy NFL season. Just when you think you have things figured out, which teams have the best shot to make it to the postseason, which teams are looking like the ones to beat. You have a weekend like last weekend where the Cowboys and the Bills lose games that they should not have. Last night was even crazy with the Dolphins winning one over the Ravens. Then you have the whole Packers, Aaron Rodgers situation. We're still not sure if he's even going to play this weekend. Given where we are right now in the season, who's the most legit team in your mind that you can without a doubt have confidence in that there won't be some back half crash going on?
Well, you can never be completely confident about that in the National Football League. I mean, there are dynamics, there are personal dynamics, there are injuries, you know, and as Frank Gifford once said in pro football, it's like nuclear war. There are no winners, there are only survivors. But I will say right now that when I look at the league right now, this weekend, the Cardinals not only have the best record, the Cardinals are the best team.
Yeah, and as Cowboys fans, that's a team that we've got to pay attention to. Talking football with Coach A, Paul Alexander of RadicallyRational.com. Paul, I just got to get your thoughts, because since the last time we spoke with you about Aaron Rodgers, and Shannon just brought up his name, since the last time we spoke with you, two very respected Hall of Fame athletes have been very outspoken about Aaron Rodgers. First, Terry Bradshaw on the Fox panel show from Annapolis, Maryland. He said, among other things, Aaron Rodgers should have gone to the Naval Academy and learned how to tell the truth, alluding to the cadet honor code at the Naval Academy. Then this week, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who is a very thoughtful, reasoned, smart, moral guy, said that the actions of Aaron Rodgers are damaging to all athletes. When you lose Terry Bradshaw and Kareem, Paul, what does that say about how you've been behaving?
Well, what it says is that we all see it. And I'm going to save the full-blown rant here for my blog and videos, stuff like that. But Aaron Rodgers' actions here are outrageous. And his words were outrageous. And anybody who is rational can see through this. He says, well, I wasn't really lying. Yeah, you were. Well, I didn't really double down on the lie. Yeah, you did. I take full responsibility. You're taking no responsibility. Well, you know, everybody has their opinion. Okay, this is a matter of public health. This is a matter of life and death for a lot of people. And this idea, and I don't know where we got it, that all opinions are equal, it's just ridiculous. Now, everybody has a right to express an opinion, but nobody has a right to have their opinion respected if their opinion is ridiculous. If somebody's opinion is that the earth is flat, am I supposed to take that seriously? Am I supposed to consider that on the level I would consider anything else? I'm looking at the sun through my window right now coming up in the east. If somebody tells me, well, it's my opinion that the sun doesn't come up in the east, am I supposed to take that seriously? I don't know where we got it. And I don't know where we all, individually and collectively, got this idea that on every single subject, including those about which we are historically ignorant, that the first time we read something we like, we are more of an eminent authority on that subject than the world's eminent authorities. It's ridiculous, it's dangerous, and it is societal narcissism.
Talking football with Coach A, Paul Alexander. We're going to pause real quick because it is the season of giving. And here at iHeart, we love giving away cash. So here it is, your 7 o'clock hour keyword. Text the keyword you hear right now.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword Easy to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's easy to 200-200.
Easy. It's so easy to do it. All you got to do is text that keyword to 200-200 and you could win $1,000. We do that throughout the day on both Ticket 760 and AM 1300 The Zone. Talking to Coach A, Paul Alexander. Coach, want to go to college football now because Texas, they're struggling. They continue to lose games. They've lost a string of games in a row. It's got to be rough in that locker room. It's got to be rough on the minds of those young men. Most of them still refer to them as kids. And they kind of acted like kids after that recent loss to Iowa State. Coach Bo Davis of the linebackers was on the bus trying to instill words of both wisdom and get these guys to get on the same page. That video happened when a player recorded Bo Davis's speech. It hit the internet. I think the player was probably trying to damage reputation of Bo Davis or try to get something across that maybe this is how we're being treated. But in reality, a lot of people are on Coach Bo Davis's side. They think it's great. They love the message. Your thoughts on that, and then also on the player recording the video in the first place?
I was horrified, not by the coach. I'm horrified by the player who recorded this. And this clearly was an attempt to get your coach fired. Okay. And I'm not defending profanity, but I'm not condemning it in this case either, because that's not the point. Okay, take the F-bombs out of it. And tell me one word he said that wasn't the complete stinking truth. And this episode is the clearest reflection yet of the stink of the rot in that program that's been going on for more than 10 years right now. So I don't hold Sark responsible for it yet. In fact, I feel sorry for him because you're going to have to weed that stuff out. But what did the coach say that was not 100% correct? This is what I saw, and this is what I think everybody saw. That team dead quit last week. They just had no interest in playing football. After all you've been through over the last month, and you have a chance to do something about that, and you put on an embarrassing performance that just reflected a lack of caring. All right, nobody's saying that football is the most important thing in your life. Okay, but for both players and coaches, if that's any lower than about number 3, you're doing the wrong thing. Okay, so you come onto a bus, and your team just humiliated itself, and in the process, reflects on you, humiliated you, and you see guys laughing, and you're going to tell them it's okay, and we're all going to go to Dave and Buster's and get snow cones? Are you kidding me? What was the coach at Colorado? This is Division I football, man. I was not offended in the slightest, and this is harsh, but I'm going to say it. And I've read accounts that they're going to do this. They're going to find out who's responsible for that video, and you're going to have to get on with your life somewhere else.
Totally agree. That program cannot go forward with a rat in the program who's trying to undermine the coach and therefore undermine the Texas Longhorns football program. He is Coach A, Paul Alexander. Paul, you're now a San Antonio area guy, and we got a football team, as you well know, here in San Antonio that is undefeated, 9-0 UTSA at the Alamo Dome. Tomorrow at 2:30, they take on 1-8 Southern Mississippi. I think we're all pretty confident the Roadrunners are going to 10-0. You've been to a Roadrunner game this year. You've been to many of them over the years, Paul. For somebody in San Antonio or the surrounding area right now who's not gone to a Roadrunner game at the Alamo Dome, even though they're taking on 1-8 Southern Miss, and we kind of feel like we know what the outcome is going to be on Saturday, why should football fans and sports fans in this area go down and support UTSA football at the Alamo Dome?
Because it's such a fun environment, and because they are just so darn lovable. They really are. You know, we always talk about and romanticize about it. I do this more than anybody. You know, that this is the kind of team I want, man. I want a team that loves each other. I want a team that just plays their butt off every week. I want a team that's mature. There is this unity just radiating off this team. They've got really good players. They play really hard. They're very consistent. They've had any number of opportunities where we probably could have understood it if they if they fumbled one over the course of this year. The fact that they're undefeated right now is absolutely amazing. But all the things that we tell ourselves, this is what I love about football, that is reflected in that team and that program. And I know that sometimes it may be a little over the top to use the word coach and genius in the same sentence. Jeff Traylor's a genius.
Yeah, he is a genius. He's a great man. He's just a tremendous coach. And, you've talked to him on this show, Paul, and Shannon and I just, look forward to every Monday morning at 8:35 when we talk to Coach Jeff Traylor. And unless something incredibly bizarre and unforeseen happens on Saturday at the Alamo Dome, that UTSA team is going to 10-0 this weekend, which will be amazing. Coach A, Paul Alexander, we wish you a great call of the high school football playoff game involving Bernie Champion this weekend. And before we let you go, though, I am a big fan. Oh, I have to tell you this. You previewed Radically Rational a week ago, and I watched, and you had Anthony Pittman on the show, who was a longtime San Antonio television anchor, and he hit some hard times. He's now in Amarillo. Paul, that was one of the best hours of conversation I've seen in my life on any platform, TV, movies, Joseph Campbell, Bill Moyers, whatever, radicallyrational.com. I don't think I had the opportunity to tell you this yet, but you are doing some great things at radicallyrational.com.
Chris, thank you very much. And by the way, Pitt is now back in San Antonio. And you can see into somebody's soul, okay? And that's a good man, and that's a good person. And we're all going to make mistakes, and we're measured by how we recover from that. And you ask other people to forgive you, but you got to forgive yourself. Now, the thing that Pitt realized is that part of self-forgiveness is taking ownership, and he has done that. But he is such an interesting guy, and one of the things that I referenced when I introduced him on the podcast is he, along with maybe Michelle Beadle, is maybe the most naturally talented television performer I have worked around it with. Pulling for him, but that took some huevos to come on that program and spill all of that, and I have nothing but respect for it. And Chris, thank you so much for mentioning that. And by the way, it's still up in the number one position. So if somebody would like to see it, all you got to do is go to radicallyrational.com, go to the podcast, and it is starting blocks number one.
Yeah, it was a riveting conversation between two men, one of whom has been to hell and back. I highly recommend it, and everything Paul puts out. Lots more Paul Alexander is waiting for you at radicallyrational.com. Paul, have a great football weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Guys, I'll just leave you with this. As CeeDee Lamb has said, man, this NFL fine situation is kind of weird.
You are correct, sir, and the NFL will probably fine him for saying that. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, this day in sports history, sports birthdays, and more. Our football picks, college and pro, coming up just after 8 o'clock. Voice of the Houston Texans, Marc Vandermeer. We'll talk all things football and NFL with Marc just after 8:35. With you till 9, the boss man, Brian Gann, engineering the show this morning. It's the Chris Duel Show. Woo! I better start making my football picks. I'm about to run out of time. Let's see here. I almost, but we didn't have time, and I want to get into it because I think it'll be a fun. And I think he'll side with you. But I just love the idea. The more that UTSA wins, I think they should get championship rings from Coach Jeff Traylor. You say no. I was going to ask him, say, all right, Paul, break this tie. And I was thinking about that, and it was getting to be like 25, 26 after, and I knew. But I'll say they'll be undefeated next week. So we'll bring it up next week.
Did you see trailers, like the USTA is in on the joke now? And
I did see that.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then they had like the players with tennis rackets at practice. I mean, It's great. It's just more recognition.
Absolutely. So, okay, let me... That's so loud. All right, let's see. I'm going to pick.
I don't have a ton for Marc today just because it is a bye week.
Yeah, and
And
he
it's hard when
he even wrote, what did he write me?
Bad.
He wrote about talking about other, let me see what he wrote me yesterday. He alluded to talking about, he said, I'm in, we can talk division and league and anything. So we can,
Yeah, I just
in
read
other words,
his
take it off of
AFC South focus.
Yeah. So we'll do that. We'll talk about the two players moving, yada, yada. Okay, let me see. I'm going to go pull up the Texas game.
Well, especially because wasn't Carolina initially rumored to maybe be looking into Deshaun?
I think they were in the mix.
To come with Cam, if they re-sign him after this year, then that's
door closed. Let's see, Texas by 31. God,
that's a lot.
I'm so tempted to pick Kansas with the 31. And that's one of those, if I pick Kansas, I won't feel bad if I lose it because I want Texas to win big. Okay, back to the top 25 now. Going to pick the UTSA game. Wow, that's 33. God.
Jason, I did see the 9 and Love reply. Thought it was really funny. I followed Trailer on Twitter.
Yeah.
Earlier in the week, and he followed me back.
Beautiful.
So I'm kind of big league now.
That's cool. Louisa, I know Spurs cap or t-shirt this morning. I was late running out of, I do have a Spurs cap in my desk I could wear. I was late running out this morning and I just grabbed this shirt. It's a nondescript shirt just because it's the first thing I could grab. I had to do WOAI's morning news this morning, which meant like a 2:30 wake up call. And so I was just behind from the get-go all morning long. And am still behind. Just did my college football picks at 7:35. Thank you. I saw this. So it's vodka that tastes like Arby's. Is that the deal?
I think they're curly fries.
Curly. Wow.
I don't know who thought of that, but
It's got us talking about Arby's, though.
that's true.
So where did I see that? Forgot where I saw it somewhere on television.
I'll do like a ruby red, soda and lime. Other than that, just regular vodka, I think these flavors, it's too much. It's too much.
Here we come. The Spurs glasses are in the desk as well, Luis. I'll go get them.
Let's get back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. Find Chris and Salty on Twitter @ChrisDuel and @ShannonB.Sweeney.
You can tweet at us. In fact, I just found out during the break, following Shannon on Twitter @ShannonB.Sweeney. Now, Shannon is one Coach Traylor on Twitter. That would be undefeated UTSA head football coach Jeff Traylor. Now, following you on Twitter.
I felt pretty special to get the return follow. I just, he's got such great content. He's having some fun with the UTSA USTA thing. Just gave him a follow, and he followed me back. I was like, oh my God, are we best friends? I think that's the definition of best friends these days, if you are connected on social media in that way. So
and which begs the question, and we talked about Coach Traylor minutes ago with Coach A, Paul Alexander. Yeah. What isn't he doing right? I mean, you mentioned his social media game, and you and I were impressed. Like Tom Brady has a great social media game. When we notice that you're nailing it on social media, we talk about it. Jeff Traylor gets it, and you've asked him about it. He's got somebody, I think one of his kids doing some of his social media,
but they're his idea. And most people at that level, the school handles it. There are other people, they don't really use it as much themselves, and he probably still has some people that send out the information stuff, but you can tell he's really involved, and so I like that. I almost being here, I wanted to hit him up in the DMs, say, hey man, let's go get tacos.
Let's get tacos with Coach Traylor.
He may have more important business to attend to right now than meeting old Salty in person.
Maybe he'll have you give the Roadrunners a pep talk at practice today. Bring you in, and you can give him a pep talk before the Mississippi State game.
An FCC unapproved pep talk.
Yes, you can go all Bo Davis.
Yes, I'll go straight
kind
Bo Davis.
An inspirational Bo Davis, a positive.
Yes, because they obviously. I don't think anyone's thinking of hitting that transfer portal at UTSA.
No.
If anything, there's kids in the transfer portal hoping that UTSA will come snatch them.
Yeah, Spencer Rattler. If you're looking for a cool team that could make some noise next year, you may want to think about it. All right, in a moment, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. Don't forget our college and NFL picks coming after the 8 o'clock top of the hour, along with Marc Vandermeer of the Houston Texans. But before the Salty Shakedown, how about some sports birthdays and this day in sports history? This day in 1920, Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis was elected as the first commissioner of Major League Baseball. Kennesaw Mountain Landis, who we would later learn was a driving force behind the scenes to keep African-American players from playing in Major League Baseball. So although he's long since passed away, I do not think history judges Kennesaw Mountain Landis. Very unusual name, kind of a cool name, but not a very cool dude. I'm just saying. All right. This day in 1979, Tony Franklin, I believe he was an Aggie of the Philadelphia Eagles, kicked a 59-yard field goal, which was a big deal in 1979. You get a lot of longer field goals these days in the NFL. This day in 1986, Texas Longhorn Roger Clemens wins the AL Cy Young Award unanimously. He's still not in the Hall of Fame. Go do the math. On this day in 1995, this one fascinates me. Dan Marino broke Fran Tarkenton's all-time NFL passing yards record at 47,003 yards. The NFL was not a passing league in 1995 like it is now. So currently, the other players who have passed Fran Tarkenton's 47,000 plus mark, in order, with the GOAT being at the top right now with 81,000 plus pass yards. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Dan Marino, Matt Ryan, Eli Manning, Aaron Rodgers, John Elway, Warren Moon, and Matthew Stafford. 13 guys now ahead of what was then the most passing yards in the NFL in 1995. Finally, on this day in 2019, former Houston Astros pitcher Mike Fiers revealed in an interview that the Astros secretly stole signs via cameras and garbage cans from visiting teams in their 2017 run to the World Series championship. To that, Shannon, I say to Mike Fiers, as Tony Soprano once said on The Sopranos, snitches swim with fishes. That's all I'm saying.
Can we revoke his ring?
Scumbag. Yeah, never wear that ring, Mike Fiers. We're taking your name off the trophy. Right. Dirtbag. All right, that's your sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1944, one of the best sportscasters ever, Al Michaels, who called the Olympic miracle on ice in 1980, having never called a hockey game before. Of course, now all of his great work with football. Al Michaels was born in Brooklyn, New York. Born on this day in 1961, the darling of the 1976 Olympics, won the gold in gymnastics, Nadia Comaneci, born in Romania on this day in 1961. Born on this day in 1968, Dominican outfielder, home run phenom Sammy Sosa. Most of those home runs with the Chicago Cubs. Born on this day in 1970, we talked about her yesterday, Shannon, in Portland, Oregon, figure skater Tanya Harding. Today is Tanya's birthday. I imagine she's going to lift a few beers and play some pool at a bar somewhere.
I wonder if she considers it a gift that her name was trending for a very similar incident from her, that maybe people will move on.
She's probably just happy to have her name out there. I have no idea.
That too.
Born on this day in 1977, head coach of the Charlotte Hornets, part of the Greg Popovich coaching tree, James Borrego, born in 77 in Albuquerque, New Mexico on this day. And finally, born on this day in 1988 in Long Beach, California. Will he ever win a ring? He's now a Laker. He's been an NBA All-Star MVP. He's been the MVP of the NBA in 2017. Thunder, Rockets, now Lakers. Went to UCLA, so I don't like him. Russell Westbrook. Happy birthday, Russell Westbrook. Those are your sports birthdays. That's your sports history. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here it is, your weekend salty shakedown.
Well, we're going to shake it up on the shakedown today, Chris. We've already shaken some things up today with me being in San Antonio, in studio. So I wanted to talk to you about my journey, because this has been a journey in the making. We're about to hit our 1-year anniversary, I believe, from a month from today.
That's crazy.
This show being what it is now. But I was excited to hit the road. Like I said, I left straight from Austin, the iHeart Studios, which are in South Austin, came to San Antonio, and through a couple of recommendations we received on the video feed, you as well, I went to Mi Tierra.
Nice.
Lunch, not without getting lost on my way. And I make it to San Antonio easy. I've done that drive many times. I went back and forth between UTSA and Austin plenty of times as a student. So getting to San Antonio, not the problem. It's called 35. We all know it. Yeah. We all hate it. But that's the road you got to take. I didn't realize that San Antonio was so much like Dallas. Flyovers, highways taking you to other highways. In Austin, there's like 4 main highways, and that's it. There's no, it's much more simple than what I mean, because that was my issue. My car likes to play last second directions. And they weren't even last second. They just it just missed it. I don't know what's wrong with it. I guess it's 2014, so maybe things have changed around here. But I thought maybe having lived here, I would know my way a little bit better. But apparently, I never left the bubble that was UTSA enough, because I felt extremely lost. Finally, make it to Meteor, find some street parking. I paid $3.80 for street parking instead of paying $5 for lot parking.
You saved some money.
$1.20 goes a long way. As James Allen poked fun at me yesterday, which is great. I am cheap. I take no offense to that. That is very much true. Go in and I say, party of one, please. I'd like a table for one. And they said, do you mind sitting at the bar top? And I was like, yeah,
No.
that's fine. There's some TV. Probably.
I would have said no. I want the experience.
Because this bar top made me feel like I was at a diner.
Yeah.
Because it's just drink machines that I don't think they're even using. Behind me, there is vibe, there is flair, there are things hanging from the ceiling, there are the pictures you spoke to me about of Elvis and all of the people that have come and dined at this historic restaurant. And I'm just at a gray, very low bar countertop by myself. No one is even there.
Oh, my God.
Okay, vibes could have been better, but this is what it is. I'm still going to get some great food. And I did order a margarita because I'm always on brand. And had the Thursday lunch special, which was delicious. Didn't even really pay attention to what it was going to be. Just, it's Thursday. I'm in San Antonio. It's the lunch special. Give it to me. It ended up being some enchiladas with some beef. I was expecting ground beef. It was the most delicious, tender beef with some potatoes. I love potatoes. I'm an Irish girl. I got a dog named Potato. It's all love when it comes to potatoes on my plate. I enjoyed them greatly. I hadn't been there in a while. So, Chris, I forgot that they have folks playing music that go around to the tables.
Mariachis.
Makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, if you make eye contact, you're in trouble.
Almost worse than a birthday, because at the birthday, you can beforehand. You go in beforehand. Your group knows what's up. You know what not to do. Nobody mention it. But this, they are trying to make eye contact. They are trying to do everything they can. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it was requested or what, but they were singing some Feliz Navidad. Okay.
My goodness, on November 11th.
I love the season, but it ain't the season quite yet. Not in my book. And then there are also people singing with them, which is just extra cringe on top of what I was already feeling. So ate my patatas and my enchiladas as quickly as I could so I could escape the situation. Went to the bakery because, of course. And it happened, Chris. I told you it would happen. It happened. I see the donuts. I see the cupcakes. I see the cookies. I see the conchas. I see items that look so delicious, but I don't know what they're called whatsoever. And it's too much to choose from. I just leave immediately. I think I can always come back if I make up my mind. Walked around the market a little bit. Saw all the fun things. There were still some Dia de los Muertos decorations going on out there. So that was cool to see. Ended up not going back into the bakery because my anxiety got the best of me. I was like, there's no decision. I would have just spent $50 on baked goods that probably would have gone stale in my hotel room. So I just decided against it. But it was only 1:00 and my check-in was 4:00. So I call the hotel. I'm like, can I come? Is it okay if I come early? They were like, yes, come on over. So that was great. I went, I was able to get my nap in. Learned that this hotel, I don't know what it was before, if it's always been a hotel, very paper thin walls. Not that I was doing anything that I would need anybody else to hear, but I just worry that maybe somebody at some point will do something that I don't want to hear.
Yeah.
And that's not what I'm there for. But luckily, I come prepared, Chris. I've got my earplugs. I got my face mask. I brought my own fan because I am that person. So all I heard was my fan, had my earplugs in. I slept amazing. But it wasn't before. Obviously, I had Meteor for lunch. I needed dinner, Chris. And I'm in downtown, walkable.
Yes.
And I'm looking for a restaurant that I found. I was wanting a burger. I heard the River's Edge burger, read that it was good, read that it wasn't too far away. I start walking in the wrong direction, make a circle around my hotel because apparently I can't read Google Maps and Google Maps can't correctly tell me where to go. Ended up in front of the Alamo, so I guess I'll never forget it, which is great. But of course, I'm like, okay, I kind of know where I am. I know the general direction of the Riverwalk, which is where this restaurant is supposedly located. Again, I get lost. I am crisscrossing the river on these bridges. I finally hit the mark where the restaurant is supposed to be. I don't see it. I don't know if maybe it was behind. There was a sign in front of a place that said closed for an event. Maybe that was where the event was and therefore I couldn't see it. I don't know. Didn't find it. So I was just like, next restaurant I see that is open and doesn't have roaches on the floor, that's the one for me. And this is where people may take issue with my choices. But I ended up at the Hard Rock Cafe. And my thought process of going there versus something maybe I didn't recognize was that There isn't one in Austin.
Okay.
And oddly enough, I have been to a handful of Hard Rock cafes. I've been to one in Boston. I've stayed at the Hard Rock in Florida. I have eaten at the Hard Rock in Rome. And you probably like, why would you do that? Well, it's a lot of Italian food.
Yeah.
A lot of Italian food. I was there for 6 days. I was like, I need a cheeseburger, which was how I was feeling last night. So got a cheeseburger. And I've eaten at the one in Amsterdam. So it's almost a trend now. So I feel like on the bucket list that does not exist in the world that is mine, it's been checked off. San Antonio, Hard Rock, checked off.
Sure.
Ultimately, the burger, not the best. The cheese, when it's weird cheese and it melts a weird way and it becomes just like picking it off of my burger as I'm going along. And someone on our live chat, we were talking about beverages earlier. Someone knocked Blue Moon, but that is my beer of choice.
Blue Moon with a nice little orange inside it. That's a good beer.
That was delicious.
Yeah.
Made it back to my hotel easily because I had just walked everywhere. So I already knew where I was at that point. I had it down pat. But did enjoy me some Hard Rock Cafe last night. Drove in this morning. Again, Austin, much smaller than San Antonio. I'm in downtown, so I'm halfway here, considering I'm in the middle of San Antonio.
Yeah.
It took me just as long to get there as it did in Austin when I live in North Austin, drive to South Austin for work. Luckily, I did find my way, did not have to crisscross, did not have to turn around. But I walk in, and you call it palatial, and sir, you did not lie.
It's a big building.
It's big, it's beautiful. The parking lot is massive. You have a security, like you have to get through a gate.
It's like a compound.
I have to get through homeless people to get into the Austin. That's where I am in that location. And there's a security guard. He's like walking me in. He's showing me around. And then, this is iHeart. They put on a ton of shows throughout the year, whether it's Jingle Ball, iHeart Country, iHeart Festival, iHeart Latina. Every other week there's something. There's pictures everywhere.
Yes.
Of all of this. And me being an avid Justin Timberlake fan was like, he's performed at some of these events. There's got to be some around here. I've found a couple. There's still one in particular I'm looking for, but I did find one that I really like. And the boss is listening, and I need that. I need to have that. You're going to have more. There's events every weekend. You can replace it with something else or pull something. There's got to be some in the back. Just replace it. I think I deserve it. I think I need it. I think I may not even ask for permission. I'll just take it and see what happens. The only difficult part is that it is in a pretty primary location where you'd be like, I feel like something maybe was there before because it's in a cluster. It's by a couch.
Well, see, if you're just going to take it, you just said Brian is listening. You just blew it. If it disappears after today,
but he hasn't responded, so I just don't need to know if I can't take. Is there a place that I need to move? We can talk after.
That's right. So we find one for like the far end of the.
That's right. No one will miss it, but I will cherish it forever because in my home, in my bedroom, I do have a corner dedicated to one Mr. JT, and I think it'd go perfectly. It'd be a great little souvenir for my first trip to San Antonio. iHeart. Greatly looking forward to tonight's game. Got the tickets, got the parking pass, ready to cheer on my Mavs in a civil manner.
Yes. Don't get into a fight with Spurs fans.
Spurs. But so far, so good. That's my trip so far on today's Salty Shakedown.
Wow. And that's just one day. You've got another full day and night tonight and tomorrow morning too.
Yeah. And
My goodness.
I know some people were wanting to like meet up, hang out last night, and I very much appreciate that. But I am such an introvert. Knowing I'm going to a game tonight with thousands of people and being in that sort of environment, I needed last night to be alone, be by myself.
Rest up.
Get ready.
Gotcha. Well, we got an hour of show coming at you with college football picks, NFL picks, and we'll talk everything NFL with the voice of the Houston Texans, Marc Vandermeer. He'll join us just after 8:30. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. Oh, and you can win $1,000 at 8:20. Stick around. Hour coming up on the Chris Duel Show. Woo! Yeah, I was after 9/11. I was working in news talk, so we went on an aircraft carrier in the North Arabian Sea. During Operation, I forget what it was, we were going after bin Laden in Afghanistan, sending ships. So we stayed in Manama, Bahrain. I went to a Hard Rock Cafe in Manama, Bahrain, and out the window was a mosque. Yeah. And it's noontime, and we're eating our burgers, and it's the call to prayer. And we've just been, this is December of 2001 after 9/11, and we're eating our burgers, and there's everybody, bowing down to Allah, and the imam, doing what they do, and then the music, and it's like, wow, we are not in America anymore.
But you are in a Hard Rock.
Right, we're in a Hard Rock, eating burgers and listening to Elvis music. It was crazy. So
I was like, that was my rationale. Like I've eaten at these around the world.
That's great.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, Louisa, I would escort Shannon to the Spurs game. I got to work the Spurs game here on the radio. They don't.
Yeah, they did send me 2 tickets as if I had it.
They don't let me out.
Sam, I don't know that there are alarms on the picture, but there are cameras that could definitely see me. But I do want that picture.
That seemed like
I feel like I'm allowed to take it, but
that
I'm
seemed
gonna
like
verify
a yes. Just replace it.
You know me, the rule follower. I just don't know where do you replace it. You'd have to pull one.
Well, I'm saying that go down one far hall here, one that won't be missed on the end.
I may need some assistance. I'm not great with pictures, but I do want that.
That's funny.
Very much.
Okay, I'm gonna grab some ice and some beverage. I'll be right back. I've got my pick, so I'm good. All right, I'll be back in a sec. You want to keep this on, or you want to?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, cool. I'll be right back.
Here. John, if I see Spurs Coyote, people and mascots still, was afraid of them growing up. I've gotten better, but those green eyes are a little terrifying. You're not knocking Blue Moon. Okay, good. I mean, I'd drink Blue Moon over almost anything too. Now, if Arby's wanted to provide me to taste their vodka, I'm not going to say no to a free drink. It's down the dark hallway that nobody goes to. There are a lot of dark hallways apparently here that nobody goes to in this giant building. Jason, which one was it? Was it 2020 Experience or Man of the Woods? Because I went to both. I've seen him a little over 10 times. My first concert ever was here in San Antonio to see NSYNC. But I'm an avid fan. And his last tour, I saw him 5 times. And was really upset I did not get asked to work iHeart Country in 2018. Or iHeart Festival. I just become full-time. So that's probably why. But he performed, which is the picture I want. I want that one. And if they have a 2013 one, I'm gonna take that too. Yes, you're gonna come to Texas, Austin for the Thanksgiving game. What's that? Kansas State, I think. Hopefully, it'll be a good one for you. I don't know if I'm gonna go this Saturday. I don't know how tired I'm gonna be. I may just watch the game with some friends. 2020 experience, Jason. That today is like still his greatest performance ever. The Netflix special of that show is appeasing both to the eyes and ears. And when I saw it, so when he came to San Antonio, he had actually cut like 30 minutes of that show because I originally saw it in Vegas right when the tour started, and it was a 3-hour show nonstop. 10-minute intermission, but he didn't even have an opener, which he didn't have in San Antonio either. But he didn't have an opener because the show was just so long. It was fantastic. I hope she enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. Blue Moon Light, Anthony. Blue Moon Light's fine. Not my first choice. I think the sports grind has different bed music.
Do they really?
Different.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a little different. It's still very sportsy, if that makes sense. But sometimes I hear it and I'm like,
yeah, I haven't heard it yet. I see your tweet with video footage of the Justin Timberlake.
oh yeah, I made a little TikTok
Portrait.
and then I think I did like an Instagram story.
Funny.
All right, less than a minute.
Thanks.
I mean, they better know in Austin if they have one to just not even put it on the wall. Just put it in the back of my car. Yeah, Jason, when I was in high school band, I always wondered how far our sound would travel early in the mornings. I lived in the area of my high school where I can hear them when I'm at the house in the mornings.
Yeah, we don't live far from Alamo Heights High School, and I hear them in the mornings. And the football stadium is there. It's about 3/4 of a mile away, but you can hear fans at the football stadium as well as the band. Here we go. The football weekend is upon us. Well, football and basketball. You've got Spurs Mavericks tonight at the AT&T Center. Shannon Salty Sweeney will be in attendance. If you're going to the Spurs Mavericks game tonight, be looking for the salty one. She will be there, and hopefully not get into. You're not going to agitate Spurs fans as a Mavericks fan tonight.
No. I didn't get like a custom made Mavericks shirt that's got something horrible written on it. I'm there to enjoy the experience, and it just so happens that a team we talk a lot about and a team that I have cheered for during my lifetime, they happen to be playing.
Very well, and I didn't know this until today. It's your second Spurs game ever. You mentioned you went once before with a friend of yours to a playoff game, but as a Mavericks fan, it's your first Mavs game in person ever. That's pretty cool.
I mean, I grew up obviously in Austin, and my family, everyone went to Texas, so everyone's okay going to Texas games, but I'm really the only one in my family and in like my friend group that is as into sports and is willing to go to games, pay for the ticket, because I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to pay that money. But they don't even want to go to begin with. So I've really been to really few kind of things like this. So it's why I'm here. I'm here to get free tickets to games and to steal pictures of my favorite celebrities off the wall.
Well, and I must credit your hubris. You tweeted and TikToked out a video of you with the Justin Timberlake portrait, and I noticed on Twitter you tagged the two big bosses, Brian Gann and Jason McCullum. So when you're contemplating committing a crime and tagging your bosses, that's right. That's pretty big.
So far, I haven't heard no. So, it's like Aaron Rodgers. Like I didn't I heard what I wanted to hear. I said what I wanted to say.
I don't know that you want to compare yourself to Aaron Rodgers. All right, there's that.
He does have a ring. I may have a picture of JT later.
Speaking of, and again, I say it's a football weekend because it is, but not only do we have Spurs Mavericks tonight, but Sunday, they're on the road at the Lakers, a 2:30 game, Spurs Lakers on Sunday. So now as a Spurs fan, I am hoping Spurs have yet to win 2 in a row. This season, 11 games into the season, they just won the other night. So if they can win tonight, that would be 2 in a row. And then they could be going for 3 in a row against a Laker team that has already lost twice to Oklahoma City. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but
didn't the Lakers come here and didn't they sort of kind of win here?
Did they win here already this year? I don't think so.
And we talked about how there were more Laker fans there.
You're right. Boom. Yeah. How could I forget?
Hard to remember it was a home game because of the amount of Laker fans.
There's that. Finally, before we make our football picks, though, your mission tonight is connect with friend of the show, voice of the Spurs, Bill Schoening, and get photographic evidence of your meeting with Bill Schoening.
Yeah, I was gonna wait to maybe text him a little later and see what time. I should be there to work around his schedule. I'm fine with if I have to get there at 2 p.m. to see him take a picture and then sit there randomly for 5 hours, just kind of walking around. That's fine. Clearly, after last night, I'm great at walking around and just looking and being lost in awe.
See, now, I am. And I'm this way about live sporting events, especially if I haven't been there yet. Like going to see a Cowboys game or something. I do like to get there early. It's like if I don't go to a game a lot, if the game's at the Rose Bowl or wherever it might be, it's like I want to soak it all in.
Yeah.
I want the game day experience.
There's more to see. And also like parking is huge for me. I know I have parking pass, but like finding the right spot, making sure I know where I'm going.
Yeah, it ain't easy. There's a bunch of lots down there. So early is a good idea.
Yeah.
And there is the Spurs fan shop, which I know you're not a Spurs fan, but there's a lot of cool merch that you could look into.
I might go in. Whether or not they get any of my dollar bills, y'all.
Yeah.
Probably not.
They may even have some weird Mavs stuff. I don't know. I don't know that that's true, but
like when a concert comes to town, there's just a little Mavs table in the corner somewhere. Buy our shirt.
You would, the way Spurs fans are representing other teams, they could probably make some money by having some opponent stuff. All right, coming up at 8:20 in less than 10 minutes, your chance to win $1,000. Somebody's going to win $1,000 again. We do it at 20 after the hour all day long and into the night at 9:20. And after 8:30, we'll talk a lot of NFL football with the voice of the Houston Texans, Marc Vandermeer. But it's that time that we make our weekend football picks. We will start with college football because it comes before NFL football on Sunday, typically, except for Thursday night football. But we usually don't pick that game. College football, Shannon, Salty Sweeney. You go first. Which game do you want to pick first?
I am going to ride with the Ducks. I went with them earlier in the year, and they served me well. They're playing the 5-4 Washington State Cougars, of course, Oregon. I believe they're number 3 now in the college football poll. That line is 14, which I think would normally feel like a lot, but for a team that is number 3 in the college football playoff, they do have that one loss to kind of work against them. I think they're going to be, or at least attempt to be, as dominant as they possibly can in the latter games of the season. So I'm comfortable with this line being 14. I am taking the Ducks at -14 versus the Cougars this weekend.
Very nice. And as a Pac-12 guy, it's nice for you to give a little love to the Pac-12.
Yeah, it is a Pac-12 after dark game. 10:30 kickoff.
Those are late. Those are crazy late. I've seen a lot of those over the years. Well, since you're going Pac-12, I will go Big 12, which is your Longhorns conference. Only this isn't the Longhorn game, although I will pick it a little later. But very intriguing game in Waco tomorrow at 11 a.m. It is on Fox, so it'll have a big audience. Number 13, Baylor at 7-2, hosting number 8, undefeated OU at 9-0. In that game, OU is a 5.5-point favorite on the road at Baylor. This has burned me a few times this season, but I'm going to do it again. I think Oklahoma has failed to impress consistently at all this season. I think Baylor, 7-2, 4-2 in the Big 12. They're number 13 in the country in their house at McLean Stadium. I get the 5.5 points if I pick Baylor, so I'm going to do that. I am picking the Baylor Bears to maybe win outright, but to keep it tight, give me Baylor plus 5.5 against number 8 OU.
All right. I like it. I like it. Well, let's stay in the Big 12 because I've got a Big 12 matchup that I am taking this weekend. We met our new man, Jeremy 2.0.
Yes.
He is an Oklahoma State guy. So this one is for you, Jeremy, because I know you're listening this morning.
He better be.
I know he's up. I know he's getting ready for that schedule as he appears with us more and more. I'm going to take Oklahoma State at -12 versus TCU. Again, it feels like a lot to cover, but TCU, even after last week, listen, I know they had a great game, but Oklahoma's just been playing so well. They too making a case to move up in these college football playoffs. I think they're just gonna get it done. I think last week may have been a bit of a fluke with TCU, especially after just losing their head coach. So Oklahoma State -12 versus the Horned Frogs.
All right, I'm going to keep it in the Big 12 as well. Every week that they play, I pick the Texas game and I pick the UTSA game. This one's got a crazy line. In fact, both of them do, both Texas and UTSA this week. Texas is at home. We know all about Texas. They're coming off the losses, most recently an embarrassing loss at Iowa State. Before that, the 3 straight losses where they had double-digit leads against ranked teams. Texas hosting Kansas. That's a 6:30 start on ESPNU. By the way, you can hear that on the Blowtorch 1200 WOAI, which has the big 50,000 watt range pretty much wherever you are in Texas, in 38 states, and 2 countries. You can hear that tomorrow night on 1200 WOAI. Texas 4-5, Kansas 1-8. Now here's the weird part. The line is 31.
That's a lot.
I want to pick Texas badly. I almost did, but until Texas shows me they can win by 31,
yeah.
I think Texas will win the game by about 20. I don't think they're going to win by 31. I hope they do. I am picking Kansas, and I'm getting 31 points, which is a bargain. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Texas wins by 40, but I'm picking Kansas plus 31 reluctantly. I hate to pick against the Longhorns, but you make the spread 31. You're begging me to pick Kansas.
Yeah. I mean, Texas struggled to score all of their 7 points, all of their one touchdown last week versus Iowa State. So just even saying that they're supposed to score at least 31, because if Kansas does put something on the board, obviously they'll have to get a little bit more to cover that line. So that I think that's a pretty solid pick, especially with Kansas. I think they would love nothing more, as most teams do, to come into DKR and beat the Texas Longhorns. All right, my final pick in the college football world, I'm going to game day. I'm going to Ole Miss. I'm going Texas A&M, however, in this one. And I'm going to go with the Aggies, -2.5. They're favored over the Rebels, even though they are the away team coming in. Both have similar records. but I just feel I put what it comes down to is the head coaches in this one, and I have my trust more in Jimbo than I do in Lane Kiffin. So I'm going to take the Aggies. I'm not going to say the you know what and put my thumbs in the air or anything, but I am going to go Aggies here -2.5 against the Rebels this weekend.
Our Aggie friends, including James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. James played football at A&M. They will be happy that you've gave a little love to the Aggies this weekend. At least picked them.
It doesn't happen all the time, but there you go.
All right, my final pick. I got to pick the UTSA game. Another gaudy, insane spread. UTSA is a 33-point favorite at home tomorrow at the Alamo Dome against Southern Miss. By the way, you can hear that one on Ticket 760 in San Antonio. Our friend Andy Everett, the voice of UTSA Athletics, with the call. Pregame tomorrow, 12:30 on Ticket 760 in San Antonio. I picked Kansas, and I took the 31 points. I can't pick twice huge 30-plus point underdogs. I'm going with our buddy Jeff Traylor, who now follows Shannon on Twitter. He's a Twitter follower of Shannon. I think he's going to be salty. I think he's getting a little sick and tired of people not recognizing UTSA and calling them USTA.
That's right.
I am giving up the 33 points, which is insane, and I'll probably regret this, but I have faith in Jeff Traylor and UTSA to win big.
Yeah.
Give me UTSA -33 at home tomorrow at the Alamo Dome against Southern Miss.
I mean, unlike Texas, they have played well through all four quarters and all phases of the game throughout the season thus far. So I like it. I haven't gone through to look at their recent games, but I feel like they've won by a lot.
Yes.
Nearly every game that they've won. So I think it's safe. I think a lot of people may think you're crazy because that is 33 points, but I do believe it is safe. It is a home game. I think it's gonna be a great crowd this weekend.
We need it.
So I dig it. So to recap our college football picks for this weekend, I've got the Oregon Ducks -14 versus the Washington State Cougars, Oklahoma State Cowboys -12 versus the TCU Horned Frogs, and the Aggies at -2.5 versus Ole Miss Rebels. Chris has taken Baylor +5.5 at home versus OU, Kansas at +31 versus Texas at DKR, and the UTSA Roadrunners -33 versus Southern Miss.
If UTSA wins by more than 33, my gosh, what a story that would be. But yep, I'm picking them. Tell you what we're going to do. It is 8:19 right now, and we typically do this at 8:20. And since we are picking 3 NFL games each, for those of you who are hanging out and waiting for 8:20 with your chance to win $1,000, first of all, that's very smart because somebody does win $1,000 every hour on the 20s. Weekdays from 6:20 until 9:20 right here, and there is a different $1,000 winner every hour. So I'll tell you what, let's do that right now. It's the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. You could win $1,000 right now. Here it is.
Is that what he put in our ear? Okay.
Keyword.
Haven't had anyone in my ear in a while.
200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's green to 200.
Green makes me think of the Green Bay Packers. That's one of the teams I will be picking in the NFL picks. We're each going to pick 3 games against the spread. You heard our college football picks. There's the NFL Films music. Thank you, Brian Gann. It is time for Big Boy Football Sunday in the National Football League. Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, by the time you get to Sunday, it will have been a whirlwind tour of San Antonio, including Mavs, Spurs. You'll hunker down in your compound for NFL football. You'll be ready to enjoy, and you're picking 3 of these games.
That's right. And we talked to Coach A. Paul Alexander. He dubbed, and I think rightfully so, the Arizona Cardinals is, if you were going to say a team is a sure bet right now, I think it's fair to go with them. So I'm going to stick with that mojo and go with the Arizona Cardinals, who take on the now Cam Newton.
Wow.
Carolina Panthers. Not sure that we'll see Cam this weekend, but
that would be weird.
He's still very much part of that team. I think that's very much in the minds of both the players and the fans. Arizona is favored by 10.5, which typically seems like a lot for an NFL game, but just given the recent struggles for the Panthers and how great Arizona has been, even without Kyler Murray, as we witnessed last weekend. So I'm going to take Arizona -10.5.
Arizona -10.5. one of the rules of thumb is a double-digit spread in the NFL is dangerous.
Yes.
And but you believe in the Arizona Cardinals. So
I believe.
that's cool. This is an intriguing game. The Cleveland Browns at the New England Patriots. Both teams 5-4. Obviously, Mac Jones starting to impress people as a game manager for the Patriots. OBJ left the Browns. Does that mean now that he's officially gone and he's officially now off to the Rams? Will the Cleveland Browns play better? New England is a 2.5-point favorite, which also tells you usually you get 3 points for being the home team. I just have a feeling Baker Mayfield and the Browns are a better team than the Patriots right now, although you bet against Belichick and you do it at your own peril. But I'm going to do it. I get the Cleveland Browns, and I get 2.5 points taking on a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones. I'll do it. Give me the Cleveland Browns plus 2.5 at Foxborough against the Patriots.
It'll be interesting to see how that Browns defense attacks Mac Jones after the seemingly awful trip and rip that happened last weekend.
Yeah.
When he's still being accused, he's being called a dirty player, that if anyone like a Myles Garrett takes out some aggression, maybe he feels more for the defensive side because that's his position, and maybe he goes after him a little bit harder than he typically would. So that's going to be a great one. My second NFL pick, I just picked Arizona minus 10.5. I'm going plus 10.5 in this one because, again, big line. So the rule of thumb, I did follow it here.
Yes.
Jacksonville versus the Colts. We talked about Carson Wentz yesterday. His wife is pregnant, could have a baby at any minute, could be during the game, which he said he will play and he will see you at the hospital later. So his mind might be elsewhere. And that team, they've looked better, but it still isn't great. It is Jacksonville who has surprised us recently. So I trust them enough to take that 10.5 in their favor. So Jacksonville plus 10.5 over the Colts.
I think that's a good pick. Jacksonville may be on a roll. They may be feeling their oats after getting the big upset win over the Buffalo Bills. So to ride with them and get 10.5 is a very, very good idea, I think. Green Bay Packers versus the Seattle Seahawks. Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers continues to be a bit of a question mark. Saturday, I believe he's eligible to come back from his COVID protocols. Probably going to be Aaron Rodgers. Packers are 7-2. They're 3-0 at home at Lambeau Field. Seahawks 3-5 overall, 2-2 on the road. I think even with Jordan Love, I kind of like the Packers to win this game. Packers 3.5-point favorites. I'm willing to give that up. I think probably Rodgers comes back and the Packers win big. So give me Green Bay minus 3.5 against a floundering Seattle Seahawks team.
Is this pick, because you said you do think that Rodgers will be back for this one. What if he's not back? You still feeling the same?
I still think Jordan Love looked decent. I mean, granted, they lost the game the other night on his first ever start, but I think he looks decent. And I think at home at Lambeau, I think the Packers, even with Jordan Love, would outclass the Seahawks. So, yeah, I think with Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay definitely wins the game. I think with Jordan Love, they win it, but by not as much.
Well, maybe his mom and girlfriend will be sitting closer.
Hopefully they'll have better seats. You would think so.
All right, my final game of the weekend is Monday night's showdown between the now ring-chasing Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. The line is 4 in favor of the Rams. I would have taken the Rams prior to OBJ joining the team, but I am still going to take them. I'm not saying it's because OBJ makes them better. I just think they are overall the better team when it comes to the 3-5 49ers. Rams right now at 7-2. I like them at -4. Give me the Rams.
You've got the Rams. That's probably a very, very good pick. My final pick, I picked the Cowboys when they play. Cowboys are taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Cowboys are a 9-point favorite. It's a noon game at AT&T Stadium. It'll be on Fox at noon on Sunday. I think the Cowboys have to be angry about having their rear ends handed to them by the Denver Broncos. 30-0 fourth quarter lead, 30-16 final. I think Dan Quinn has got to have it out for the Falcons. They blew him out last year, so I think he'll be using all of his corporate knowledge, helping the Cowboys to try to stop the Falcons and beat them. Cowboys that's approaching a 10-point spread. Yeah. 9 is dangerous, but I'm thinking the Cowboys are going to come back with a vengeance. We'll find out. Give me the Cowboys -9 against the Atlanta Falcons.
All right, I like it. I hope the boys can do it. To recap our NFL picks this weekend, I've got the Cardinals at -10.5 versus the Panthers, the Jaguars +10.5 versus the Colts, and the Rams at -4 against the 49ers. Chris has the Browns at +2.5 against the Patriots, the Packers, which he's hoping Aaron Rodgers will make his return for that one, at -3.5 versus the Seahawks, and the Cowboys at -9 against the Falcons.
Speaking of NFL football, coming up, the voice of the Houston Texans, Marc Vandermeer. We'll talk not only Texans, we'll talk all things NFL with Vandermeer coming right up. Great guest, great football mind. He joins us next. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Woo! Taro Kotani from Tokyo this morning. Hello, Taro. Christopher Dale Hawthorne says birds up. Let's see here. I can scroll better on this one.
I played the trombone. Still have it to this day. It needs to be fixed, though. It's a glue issue. Louisa, I'm gonna take the picture. And it's not stealing because everyone knows about it.
Yeah, and Louisa, my mic shouldn't be off. I've had it on mute the whole time, but it should be going through this mic, so you should be able to hear me.
I like Marc's choice for. I mean, we're talking some JT.
There you go. You might have to compliment him on that.
Music. I mean, I know that it's themed and it's very appropriate. But he's really doing it for me.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know. So on a Friday, do the few salespeople that come in show up, or 'cause I still didn't see anybody?
Very few. You know, David Munoz comes in each day, but very few salespeople. And you know, again, pre-pandemic, that place was packed. So weird. Now it's a ghost town. So we need breakfast taco suggestions. I'm trying to think, because you're downtown, and the straightest shot is 281 South to get you know, from where we are toward downtown.
I think that's what I took.
Yeah, probably. And I live like halfway down 281, kind of in the Quarry, Alamo Heights area.
Mm-hmm.
So if we came up with, I know there's a
something with parking.
Yeah, but it's way off. A Las Palapas would be good. There's one on Blanco, but we would have to exit Blanco and drive a few miles. Be nice if there was something right off 281. Foamfoot says Taco Heaven. Is there anything on St. Mary's Strip with breakfast tacos that anybody knows about? I haven't been to St. Mary, because that you can get there easily off Highway 281. That's a possibility. There is if La Gloria was open, and I don't know that they're open for breakfast, but that's in the Pearl. La Gloria has just tremendous tacos by day. I don't know that they have. Jason, do they have? Is Alamo Cafe open for breakfast? I've never been to Alamo Cafe for breakfast or breakfast tacos. I guess there's one way to find out, because that's just off 281. That would be a possibility. Let's see. No, Alamo Cafe opens at 10:45. Yeah, we need something open at 9:45 or 9:30.
We have naps to take.
Yeah, we have naps to take, and Shannon has a Justin Timberlake portrait to steal.
Right, that's going to be an adventure that the both of us are going to be involved in.
If you involve me in your theft, you better make sure that he's cool with it.
I've learned.
Well, we're firing both of you.
Yeah, we can re-verify before we officially make any moves.
Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, I've got your song here. It's got about a 10-second instrumental intro, then it starts singing bye, bye, bye.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Yeah, it's got Timberlake on vocals, so Shannon's very happy.
Just keep going.
Here we come. Marc Vandermeer going to join us.
The entire choreography.
My God.
Darren's dance video.
It's a little frightening. Bye, bye, bye by NSYNC. Very appropriate song for our next guest. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Happy he's joining us this morning, because I figured, Yeah, he's off and might be in Tahiti or something as the Houston Texans have a bye this weekend. He is the voice of the Houston Texans, the one and only Marc Vandermeer on a bye along with the Houston Texans. Marc, how you doing this morning?
Shannon, I'm doing great. Yeah, I decided to stay around. Look, we're on the road so much, and the way COVID is, especially, with traveling. And we had a close contact situation recently, not involving a player or anything, but I had to test 5 days in a row just to be sure. And I was just like, why are we doing this? Why would I go away? Let's just stick around. I'm going to play a little golf. It'll be fun. And you know what else I do during the bye? Watch football like everybody else.
And that's got to be a little bit surreal for you because on NFL Sunday game days, typically on Sunday, could be a Thursday, could be a Monday night, but you're at the stadium going through your entire routine, the pregame, the call, everything you do to have a Sunday free and a weekend free to watch football. That's got to be, do you go into fan mode or are you still kind of broadcaster, analyzing everything going on from a broadcasting perspective?
This is what I do. I put on Red Zone and inject it into my veins and make the mistake. Like, I'm just going to watch like 10 minutes of Red Zone, then I'm going to do stuff around the house, do all the things that I've been putting off, right? But as soon as Red Zone comes on, it's hard to walk away from it. It's so addictive. Like, you cannot tear yourself away from the screen because no commercials, just constant action. Scott Hansen, I think, is one of the more underrated broadcasters out there. What he does with Red Zone, I think, has to be appreciated along with other great NFL staple moments, time highlights back in the day. Chris Berman and Tom Jackson, NFL Primetime. Like, this will be remembered as one of the great NFL broadcast products ever. It's phenomenal. And also, the other element is, I always feel like the final exam's going on and I'm not there, but then I kind of get over that, just enjoy the day.
Marc, talking about your bye week, I'm now realizing, I don't know why I'm just having this moment, but the extra game we're all getting this week as fans, Chris and I, we love it. More football, good football. But we do get the comments from Tom Brady this week that he's not really happy about that 17th game. And over the years, that one game really does add up. But you as a broadcaster, as the guy who's got to be at all those games, you've got a 17th game too. What are your thoughts on that game this year?
Well, I love broadcasting more games. If the NFL, this is just me, I love being on the air. So if the NFL was 50 games, I would enjoy broadcasting 50 games. But I'm in the building every day and I see what these guys go through. And I'm not in the trainer's room all the time or whatever, but you see them limping around sometimes, the rehab they're going through, dragging themselves in and out of the building. And I think that's a lot of football. They put themselves through an awful lot. Now, their union agreed to it. They knocked out a preseason game. I didn't think that was the biggest deal in the world, but every little bit helps, I suppose. They lightened up preseason practice and training camp practice, so that might help them to a degree. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I like more football like you. It's weird with the 17, though. My OCD was really rattled here because it was so perfect with 16 games and you have 4 divisions per conference and everything sort of lined up right. Now you can't go 500, which, probably is a good thing. It's like college football back in the day when you had 11 games and you could go 6-5 and have a winning season. And it's just a little bit different, but I like more ball like you do.
He is the voice of the Houston Texans, Marc Vandermeer. And Marc, we've had some upsets lately in the NFL and certainly in the AFC. Most notably last week, the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Buffalo Bills 9-6. And then last night, the Miami Dolphins beat the Baltimore Ravens 22-10. So Miami now with 3 wins, Jacksonville now with 2 wins. Now, we've had the discussion with you. You don't believe in, and the Texans don't believe in tanking. But, we look at teams like Jacksonville and Miami winning. That could ultimately, at the end of the season, benefit the Texans in draft positioning. As you look at these games, do you let that enter your mind at all, or do you just wait to see how it shakes out at the end of the year?
Well, I think you always think about where they might end up. And it's funny with these upsets. The league is weird because you had Tennessee losing to the Jets, and then Tennessee's on as hot a roll as you can be on relative to the 2021 season, right? And Jacksonville beating Buffalo 9-6, and Buffalo, look what they've done to everybody else just about. Who thought Jacksonville was capable of such a performance. Now, 9 points, I get it, because their offense isn't so high. But defensively, and then the Dolphins last night, look, we were just there 5 days ago, right? So I watched them warm up with the crew. We were talking about the kind of talent they have. They got a lot of talent. You know, they had all those high picks. They made some acquisitions. It hasn't worked out. They played some close games, and then they play the Texans super tough on defense, and their offense isn't very good. But last night they do just enough on offense in order to let that defense shine. And I really felt they'd go after Lamar Jackson the way they did. Blitzing a lot of people, because that's just the way they play. They just send the kitchen sink after you, and it's overwhelming. And it overwhelmed the Ravens last night. So I found it interesting that the Texans put up 9 points, the Ravens put up 10 points against the same team 5 days apart. I'm not saying the Texans are like the Ravens. Hang on, everybody. Don't at me. But it is notable to me how the Dolphins are improving as we go. I don't think Tua did anything last night to make anyone think, well, he might be their guy after all. Like, we'll see. You know, he's got to play more. He's only in his second year, so we'll see what happens with them.
Well, as you mentioned, Texans took on the Dolphins just last weekend. They ended up losing that one 17-9. Tyrod Taylor came back from that injury, but he had 3 interceptions. Is there a world where we may see some more Davis Mills if we continue to see some struggles and the turnovers from Tyrod Taylor?
Oh, yeah, we're living in that world, Shannon. I mean, I think that if Tyrod struggles like that on a consistent basis, Davis will be back for sure. He might be back anyway. Look, Tyrod has never thrown – well, he's thrown 3 interceptions in a game. It was his second ever start. And his maximum amount of interceptions in an entire season is 6. So that was really uncharacteristic of him. He didn't look like himself to me. I said it's like a pitcher not having his best stuff or whatever, totally out of rhythm. Obviously, the Dolphins' pass rush got to everybody. It wasn't just him, and he didn't handle it very well. The Texans didn't handle it well at all. Look, he'll go to Tennessee next week. That's not easy at all. We all know that. The Titans have the Saints this week, and we'll see how that plays out, followed by the Jets game. But I think that they kind of need to see Mills again at some point. I mean, if they're winning, maybe not. But even so, you kind of got to know what you have in Mills. You saw some things, but did you really get a fair evaluation, a full evaluation? When you have the chance to do it, that way you know exactly what you want to do at quarterback in the offseason, whether it's acquire a veteran somehow or draft somebody or just continue to groom Davis Mills. We'll see how it goes.
Marc Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans, with us. And Marc, you brought up the Tennessee Titans a few moments ago, and I'm looking at the AFC standings right now overall. And with that loss last night, the Ravens dropped to 6-3. They could have been 7-2. We expected them to be 7-2 right now, but they lose to the Dolphins. They dropped to 6-3. So now all alone with the best record in the AFC is the Tennessee Titans at 7-2. Yet Derrick Henry gone. He's the focus of their offense usually. How do you think they respond? You've got, in second place, Colts at 4-5. They've still got a big lead in the AFC South. Do you think the Titans will find a way to continue to win down the stretch?
Well, if you look at teams that were the darling of the AFC just relative to this season, the Bills, they're the guys. Oh, wait a minute, maybe not, right? And Baltimore, yes, no, maybe not. Cincinnati, they're the top seed. Then they lose back-to-back. It just seems to be happening to everyone. The Chiefs obviously have struggled this year for them. So for the Titans, they already had a stinker game, losing to the Jets on the road. But do they have others in them? And do they have a tough schedule that's going to hamper them down the stretch? I think that they have the goods to get it done, especially if they get a little cushion here. But without Henry, I think in the long haul, it could be difficult. That was an impressive win for them last week against the Rams. I mean, my goodness. That, to me, and Arizona's win with Colt McCoy and John Connor, James Conner, rather, against the 49ers. No, it wasn't the 49ers. Who was it against? It was the 49ers. That, to me, was super impressive because that changed their identity, right? No Kyler Murray, no DeAndre Hopkins. All of a sudden, you have Colt McCoy throwing to a running back a lot, and they're running the ball well. And it just sort of changed the whole identity of the team for one day, and maybe they have to go longer with it. But the Titans' victory was really sound. We'll see if they can keep it up. I think it just shows you how the league is a week-to-week thing. It is. Look at last night. Look at the Jags and the Bills. Look at all these other examples. You just got to put your best foot forward. I think they have the goods to maybe hang on, but there's a lot of competition. We have so many games to go. The Texans have 8 games to go in this season. That's a big chunk of action, and a lot of different things can happen.
Marc, huge news yesterday with Odell Beckham Jr. going to the Rams and Cam Newton going back to Carolina. It doesn't feel like that long ago he was there. It's just a one-year deal. How do you foresee this going for them and Cam? Do you see this becoming like he's going to be there like he never really left? Or are we going to see this truly be a one and done, and then we're back in that same cycle all over again?
You know, people remember Cam from playing not as great as he could have with the Patriots last year, and then training camp didn't go well and everything. We'll see how rejuvenated he is physically, because I think Joe Brady and Matt Rule can really design some interesting things for Cam to do with Carolina. So that could be a nice resurgence for him. Is it too little too late in his career physically? We'll see. Because remember, a couple of years ago when he was still playing for the Panthers, health was a big problem. We played them at NRG Stadium, and Kyle Allen was the quarterback. Now, the Panthers won anyway because they were, and the Texans were pretty good that year, but they were going nuts with Christian McCaffrey. So we'll see how it plays out with Cam. And then you got Odell Beckham Jr. going to L.A. And how do you guys feel about this? Because I feel like that might be one acquisition too many. They might have gotten a little too cute here because that could really affect them to have all these superstars in there. What if it doesn't work out? What if they hit the adversity? Is that really going to work out for them in the long haul, meaning the rest of this season anyway, and beyond? Because that's a heavy investment. They've really given away a lot of draft picks in order to make some of these acquisitions over time, not OBJ, but when you look at Matt Stafford and everything, when they gave up the 2-1. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, Marc, I'm with you. And Shannon and I discussed that this morning as well. Odell Beckham Jr., you just look at his behavior in general throughout his career. He might just come in and not be a good fit culture-wise with the Rams. It's going to be fascinating to see how that works out or doesn't work out with him. He is the voice of the Houston Texans, Marc Vandermeer. He and the Texans have a bye this weekend, but when they come off the bye a week from Sunday, he and the Texans will be at Tennessee taking on the Titans. That'll be a noon game a week from Sunday. And of course, you can hear that across the Houston Texans radio network, which includes Ticket 760 in San Antonio and AM 1300 The Zone in Austin. Marc Vandermeer, outstanding as always, sir. Enjoy golfing, enjoy football, enjoy the bye weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris and Shannon. Have a great weekend.
Absolutely, sir. You too. And Shannon, here in our final moments, you prepare for Spurs Mavericks tonight and your first ever close encounter of the first kind with Bill Schoening. Should be a pretty amazing night for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm feeling excited, maybe even a little intimidated because he is the Bill Schoening. And I don't want to get clammy. I don't want to get nervous. I don't want him to be like, oh my gosh, let's keep this to a radio only kind of situation. But I am looking for, more than the game. Bill Schoening.
Well, and sometime, and obviously he'll have to work tonight, and you'll be a civilian tonight. But just given his years as the Texas Longhorns voice, that whole Ricky Williams era, it'd be cool one of these days, you and Bill just sitting down, just talking Longhorn football for a long time, just catching up on everything that he knows.
When I first really started working radio, I was working with Craig Way.
Oh,
who's,
wow.
Of course, the current voice of the Longhorns. And
yeah.
I'd still, like, when I see him and he says hello, I'm like, Craig Way knows my name.
Craig Way, a great guy as well. We had a poll question today, Shannon, and we picked 4 games, and we said, which weekend game are you most excited about? One of which you're attending tonight, Spurs Mavericks.
Mm-hmm.
What have we learned from our poll question this morning?
Asking folks which weekend game they are most excited about. 53% going towards UTSA and Southern Miss. 33% going to the Cowboys and the Falcons. 8% going to the Longhorns versus Kansas. And 6% going to the Spurs and the Mavericks. That's where my vote went. But as a bonus, I'm also really excited. Again, the Texas basketball season underway. Texas playing number 1 Gonzaga tomorrow.
Wow, you're right.
And Texas women playing number 3 Stanford on Sunday. So it's going to be a big weekend for Texas sports.
Did we say that Gonzaga game is 9:30 tomorrow night? Something like that.
It's a late one, yeah.
Yeah. So you can watch a lot of college football and still catch Texas Gonzaga tomorrow night in men's hoops, and a chance for the Longhorns with Chris Beard to really shock the world if they could get the upset at number 1 Gonzaga tomorrow night. Shannon, great to have you in studio. It's about darn time.
Yeah.
Took about 11 months, but we finally did it.
This was fun. Hopefully we can do this more often.
Absolutely. Enjoy the game.
Thank you.
We will, I'll root against your Dallas Mavericks, but I will hope the Spurs win and you have fun. And hopefully it's a close game.
Yes.
Lonnie Walker with a game winner at the buzzer.
Well,
That's what I'm looking for. Tight one, fun, but Spurs win. Our thanks to Brian Gann, the boss man, outstanding as always, multitasking as he does. We appreciate his help this morning. Thanks to Marc Vandermeer. Thanks to Paul Alexander. Have yourself a great weekend, great football and Spurs basketball all weekend long. Enjoy yourselves. We will see you Monday morning at 6. Adios. Woo! Marcus Valdez-Pino. I saw Walter saying that the poll, Walter Pasacreta, putting Texas in this poll is disrespectful to the Cowboys, the Spurs, and UTSA. Thank you, Walter.
We are in both cities. We've got to got to play to both sides.
Sorry, Walter. We're disrespectful.
But the votes clearly were there.
Yeah,
so 89,
and we didn't even
be upset about.
Yeah, we didn't even pimp
Clearly,
pimp the poll, and 89 people voted.
UTSA.
All right, we are going to get out of here and steal a portrait for Shannon of Justin Timberlake.
I've got the perfect TikTok audio for it.
And great, and now, we've got evidence now of us.
It's work content is what it is.
Admitting to the crime on video on the station's pages. That's great. Axel J. Miller, Foam Foot 420, Marcus, Luisa, Pablo, whoever else is in here. Somebody did give us, was it Jason gave us a taco place? I want to write that down, and because it's at 281 in Bitters. Where did he say that was? I can't scroll on my laptop, so I'm going to scroll here. Los Palitos. I'll Google that. Los. It's a little frightening going to a place you've never been to before, but oh well, possible. We'll see. All right, y'all. Los Palitos, 281 in Bitters. Thank you, Jason. We will check that out. All right, y'all. I will be on Spurs React after the game tonight on 1200 WOAIs, and I push it out to all of these sites, so you can, wherever you're watching here, you'll probably find it. So see y'all later. Until next time, adios.